Alright then, guys. We're here. Wait, I hear myself. Okay, no, we're fine. I hear myself, and it's just me, by the way, guys. I trolled you. Sneb isn't here, actually. That was misinformation. I lied to you. Today, this is... Well, actually, this is nothing, because Sneb isn't here. He actually died, unfortunately. He didn't make it, okay? He didn't survive. But actually... We have this empty chair here instead. Oh! Also,
gotcha!
I think that's really loud. I think that's extremely loud, by the way, which is pretty funny. But I mean, we might have to mess around with the audio a little bit.
Ban all the doubters.
Yeah. Well, actually, guys, tell me how is the volume on that? Because we haven't. Look,
we didn't test it at all.
We've been told today, well, yesterday, that we don't plan anything, and you know what? It's true actually. Yeah. We don't. But we are here.
Wow, I don't even know what this map is because I haven't played.
Yeah, dude, you right now, guys, we have a special moment. Like you guys are gonna be able to kind of experience through Sneb
100%
the tunnel again.
Yeah, dude, you did 100% the map.
I've done 80. I've done like 86% of the map, bro.
He didn't even 100% the map. He streams this game full time.
Yeah. Look, I've nearly completed. Look, fine. I'll go complete the map. I'll go do it now.
He's got to complete.
I feel very pressured now.
It's crazy.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go do it real quick. But yes, we are here, guys. We're gonna do kind of like I guess like a live tea time and discuss the patch, discuss Guild Wars 2, all that sort of thing. And it is extra funny because, yeah, Sneb has actually not played this content. I imagine he's seen it on stream, and obviously he's seen, you know, people talk about it. He's seen Darren's nearly mentally break because of the patch, because of the tunnel, essentially. But yeah, I mean, do you like that it does actually have, you know, it is essentially a huge tunnel. Like, that is the map, essentially. What do you think about that?
You know, is there a top 10 tunnels of Guild Wars 2 video out yet? There's gotta be, right? Because there's that one guy, right?
Didn't the Athos guy do it?
Yeah.
Didn't he kind of do that thing?
Maybe he did do the tunnels, but I've seen like top 10 rocks or something.
Yeah. That channel is fire, to be honest.
Yeah.
He just does the most random content ever, just drops it. Yeah, top 10 tunnels in Guild Wars 2. It's like what Krendor does, isn't it? Like Krendor does that for WoW, I think. He does like random top 10s.
Yeah. Here, I should scooch.
Oh yeah, let me slightly go to the side.
I like how your headphones are just like barely
the cable is not quite long enough for this situation. Should have thought about that, to be honest.
I could go to the actually my cable. Well,
no, I think you're good. I think you're good. You can get a little bit more in. It's just, you know, the cable is.
Well, no, I'm just thinking like we could switch sides and I could go.
Oh, that is true, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna switch.
Yeah. Okay. Let's switch.
We didn't plan anything. Yeah. This is because if I just put this like around, right?
Slightly reduce the teeny tiny.
Okay, all right. Can I get this in front of the... Yeah. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I think that's honestly...
Oh, you got the dressing gown now.
Do you want me... Okay,
no, yeah, you can have it.
Chair, okay.
Yeah. Okay, what the hell is going on here? Listen, do you guys think we were joking? You think we weren't gonna do this?
Yeah, this is far better because now if I'm cut out a little bit, it's because it's I'm on the other side of the screen. Okay. Yeah. Nice.
Okay. Yeah, I think that works pretty well. I think actually. Yeah.
I really should have. I actually I'm not gonna lie, guys. I was googling snake costumes before I flew, but I thought about it way too late. And it turns out that a snake costume is far more complex than even the slug outfit.
Oh really? Wait, what was the complexity?
It's just I couldn't find an adult one.
Yeah. Oh, so it's like only for kids?
Yeah, there's like a bunch of kids snake outfits.
I guess the amount of adults who want to dress up as a snake is maybe not that high, I guess.
Yeah, look, guys, it is quite shocking that it is actually a little Apple keyboard. It is.
It is an Apple keyboard. Look, I can't believe people think I'm making this up. Like,
not
guys,
lying.
We're fully transparent over here. Okay, we are deeply transparent.
Yeah.
What would be the social consequences of Sneb in a dressing gown? I mean, look, we might find out. It could happen.
Yeah. I've worn this like exact same robe.
Oh, yeah?
I swear I have the same one at my house. Too.
That's big, actually.
I don't remember. There's like several tea times where we did that.
Yeah. Sneb and TeaTime height check. We're about the same height, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Roughly. You might be a little bit taller.
Yeah, we're like very similar height.
Yeah, because I'm about 6'1", Like
Yeah.
I'm in between 6'1" and 6'2".
Yeah, yeah. So we're. Oh, they. Are you happy now? Oh.
Rewarded.
Oh.
Gamble. Let's
Okay.
go.
Okay. Here we go. Yo. Oh. Okay.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, you hate to see that. Man, Black Lion chests are so bad, aren't they? Just think how awful that was. That's 125 gems, and I think we got like 2 gold out of that. That's insane, no?
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah. Turns out in the UK, you have to go to some very like kind of shady building to do your gambling, except it's in a video game.
Yep, true. Ask Sneb if he likes the nodes on this map.
The nodes?
Yeah.
I mean, if they're made by Roy, they're very powerful.
I believe Roy did. Yeah, Roy he was responsible for the gathering nodes on this map. Yeah. So that is pretty hype, actually. Well, I don't know what's going on right now, actually, because we just came back. We just went out to eat something. It was good.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on in Guild Wars 2, guys. I'm going to see if the convergence is up, because honestly, have you seen the Aura convergence?
No. I haven't played any of the new content, 0.
Yeah. I kind of want to do the normal. Wait, when is the normal? Let me actually look. Because I don't know if you know this, but the challenge mode is currently completely bugged. And on CM, no geysers spawn. So the boss essentially does nothing. There's no ads and no geysers. But on the public, it actually does spawn correctly, which is kind of interesting, I think. So
really?
if you want to actually get like the true Aura experience, you have to actually do the public. If you do the private, it's not the same. Yeah.
I like how the Discord comments.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's gonna be React to Sneb React. I mean, look, we are gonna be doing React content, guys. Like, we will do the new meta today. We will do the convergence, and Sneb will react to it live, and we might have a little chat about it.
Also, my energy will fluctuate greatly for the. Look, I have no conception of time or anything. It's very confusing. I got on a plane and I went to bed, and then I woke up, and then I was in like this weird land where everyone drives on the other side of the road, and like they kept saying, "Please mind the gap," and then please mind the gap, and you're like, "Oh, okay, I'll mind the gap." See it, say it, sold it, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." Pickpockets operate in this, and you're like, "Okay, I'm like holding on to all of my pockets, all of them. Don't pick them."
Oh man, that's funny. Yeah. Oh wait, there's no public aura. Oh no. Oh yeah, because it rotates, doesn't it? That's right. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, okay. We have to do the CM then, guys. I'm just gonna do a squad for the CM. Oh, that sucks actually. Wait, Roy, can you get on that? Can you fix aura? Wait, actually, did you guys fix aura or what? Did you guys fix aura? Because otherwise he's not gonna get the full experience. He's only gonna get the shitty version where the boss does nothing. Like, it doesn't work.
What the hell is a pasty? I saw that in a few places, and I was like, I don't know what that is, and then I just
it's okay. Yeah, it's a traditional British food, like a pasty, Cornish pasty, and it's basically a pastry shell. It's basically like almost like a version of a pie. It's like a special pastry, and then inside it is filling.
Can you explain this in RuneScape cooking terms?
I mean, I'd say it's honestly just like a pie, basically. Okay. It's like a pie variant. It was designed to be like the container was also the thing you would hold it with, right? So you would like take it to work with you, and you'd hold on to like the bit of pastry at the bottom and like eat it. You'd take a bite out of the top of it like that. And you'd like hold. The pastry is the container.
That's basically my wife in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, banana freckles.
Boom! There it is. Yeah, we're being
Pasty is
spectated.
the pie. Wait, what are you doing?
That's actually a really good. I actually really like this. Yeah, it is like that. Yeah, that is actually how it is. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. That's a good analogy.
I can't believe she's watching.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, like,
yeah, TeaTime got to meet my wife, by the way.
And we're both in trouble for not planning anything. Yeah. We're both in trouble.
My wife, she was like, "What's the plan?" And I was like, "I don't think we have one." So I was like, "TeaPot, what's the plan?" And he's like, "Big content, giga content." And then I was like,
"Yeah."
I just said that to my wife, and she was not impressed. She's like, "But where are we going? What are we doing? Are we eating food? How long are we eating food for?" Like, she wanted the details, but there were none.
Look,
Zero detail.
If you guys were ever wondering if I'm like how I am on the stream in real life, the answer is yes. Okay, it's
accurate.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. Well, yeah, I think Sneb does want to try the local chippy actually, so he does want to have the fish and chips experience.
I do, yes. I had fish and chips from like some really greasy place in London, but it was not. I will admit I wasn't very impressed. It was kind of crap. So we got to do better than that.
Yeah, we'll have to see what we can do about that for sure. Yeah, come back to the UK the first week of August. We can hang out. Oh,
look,
shit,
Roy. If you'll let me stay at your house, I'll come to Seattle again.
Yeah.
And then we can hang out.
Oh, look, I'll tell you, man, honest, I am really looking forward to the next opportunity where, like, everyone can show up, you know what I mean? Because I haven't had that for ages. The last time we did that was actually ages ago in Cologne at Gamescom, right? I really want ArenaNet to either do something like that at PAX, like to, announce something really big, or at Gamescom, or both. That'd actually be so cool, because then everyone can show up at the same time. And look, we could have Darren's. Like, Darren's could come. How sick would that be?
Yeah.
Like, Roy could be there, Orsus could be there, Trig, Lynn, Jester, like the whole gang, no?
We can have our own G7 summit, but
for
Guild Wars 2
too.
politics.
Yeah.
We could have a meeting of the minds and just discuss, like, really important political things. Yes, but about Guild
Like
Wars
Ellen
2.
Keel and Nashblade. Like, that's what we can do.
No, I thought it was going to be more like embedding. But
Yeah.
yeah, we could have a council.
You want to have a live debate? Is that what you want? Like a live debate?
Yeah.
Like a one-on-one, head-to-head? That could definitely be content.
And then we can finally elect a Guild Wars 2 president, because I would vote for Darren's. I'm saying it. I would vote for Darren's. Yeah.
Yeah, hold on. We got to set this up, okay?
Dude, no one is joining.
It was because look. I was watching Darren's.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this. He actually went all in. He went completely all in. Maximum effort on the NA server. They were 7 minutes overtime on getting gold. 7 minutes, seriously. 7 minutes. So it wasn't close, and he went all in. Like, he was full tryharding. He was like micromanaging. He was like full raid leading and stuff. It was just GG.
Heck W.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah. So it was pretty tough. Wait, has Sneb seen this? Let's see what the clip is. Wait, what is this clip actually? Oh yeah, this is a good. Oh no, the thing is, Sneb, he can't hear anything.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't have it set up. I only have the mic working. I don't have the audio working, so he can't hear anything.
No, I didn't really think about that until actually just now.
Yeah, yeah. So that is a slight problem. That I don't think I can readily fix either. So that's the bad news, pretty much.
Keck W.
Yeah. Because there was no plan. Listen, there was no plan. I can't remember if I ever. What are the headphones? Because it's got a mic. It's a headset. It's got a mic on it. Funny enough, I don't know if Roy is still using this. But Roy at some point was using that headset because I sent him one. Because the original plan, guys, for Moda 1, big leak here, was for Roy to come to the UK actually, and we were going to do basically this, and like have a live hosting experience basically here. But obviously COVID happened, so it just didn't really work out well. Are you a Kiwi or an Aussie? Can I figure out where your accent is from? I'm neither. I'm from the UK.
What?
There's some similarity in the accent, to be honest. I can understand a little bit. No?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Yeah.
No. I don't think there is. I don't know how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, fair enough then, I guess.
I don't think there is.
Look, people are joining. See? Look at that.
38. Remember the days when we used to hit the commander button and it was full instantly? And they were like, please, I'll pay you $200 to run. I need the turtle. I need it. I need it.
I mean, I remember, on like second day of EOD, you would hit the commander button and it would be filled in one frame. Literally in one frame. Like instantly. Like immediately fill the group.
Yeah, I used to count down. I used to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then I'd click and it'd be like, boop.
Yeah. It was just instant. Like just immediate.
Yeah.
It was absolutely crazy. It was absolutely wild stuff. Look, Trig's here.
Stream? Oh, wait, Trig is here.
Trig is here. We got the whole gang. The crew is here.
Yeah.
Dude, like honestly though, look, Toast is a WoW player here. When are you streaming hardcore again, bro? HC, when are you going back to vanilla?
Wait, when am I?
Yeah, when are you going to stream vanilla, HC?
Oh, I do have to get to 60 at least.
You do. You have to beat Awesomeness, no? Because he hasn't done it.
Yeah, that is a good point. I don't know. I'm kind of like, I'm not sure because I feel like if I don't play Guild Wars 2, that a lot of people will never beat the CMs. Somebody's got to organize these runs, guys.
Well, Emmy's doing them. Emmy's kind of
okay,
holding
then
up.
They'll be fine.
Yeah, Emmy is like kind of carrying NA right now. Darren, I don't know if this is true or not, but I've actually heard that Darren's hasn't even got gold on all three of them. I'm not joking.
I'm gonna just say.
I heard he hasn't done it.
I'm gonna say the truth here. The reason is because when Darren's plays, all of the work from home leeches come out, and they attach to the appendages of Darren's.
Yeah.
And he drags them through the mud.
Yeah.
To get to get the reward.
Wait, what are you guys talking about? Like Darren's broke? Like what are you guys talking about? Wait, I'm taking a break from Guild Wars 2 until further. Wait, there's no shot.
He put the insanity tree, so it's hard.
Yeah,
to
he
know
did.
what
He
means.
put the tree as well.
It's hard to know if it would be
Wait, check his
insanity for him
Discord?
to do that, or
Wait, hold on.
there's no way. Wait, Darren's bullying corner?
Yeah, well, it's just what I just had to find his Discord because I'm in a lot of Discords. It's hard to find. Wait, has he made an announcement, guys, or what? Oh my god, wait, dude, he's dropped a nuke. Gamers, I'm taking a short break from doing any Guild Wars 2 scheduled events, including meta trains, convergences, fashion contests. As many of you already know, I did not enjoy the latest patch, especially because of the open world content. I will still blast GW2 content on stream, including Guild Wars 3 and MMORPG news every day. He actually broke. The patch.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it was too much for him.
Ah, see, that's the stream that I saw. The I Am Broken one.
Yeah, I am broken. What are people thinking? I like how it's I am broken in lowercase as well. And then all caps. What are people thinking about Chrono Odyssey? Monster Hunter World, bad reviews. Question mark. Dude, look at this copium, man. Look at this shit. PoE won first time, all challenge run. GW3, all evidence in one sheet. It's actually just coping. That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, look, here's the video too. This new sheet reveals everything we know about Guild Wars 3.
Wow. It's time to focus.
Dude, the patch actually just the patch like messed him up. That's crazy.
You have 50 people, by the way.
Oh shit! Yeah, let's get in there. Yeah. Oh, I need to buy the. What is it even called? Like the motivation? Oh yeah, it's this thing. Okay, here we go.
You're really helping the economy there.
Yeah, we've got to buy a couple. Let's take us in.
Wow.
Okay, we're in. Let's see. We have to make some subgroups. Let's go ahead and do that, I guess. These are the quickness providers. Got some heralds. Chronos.
I can't believe you didn't just get somebody else to do it.
Well, I mean, look, I've got to do it. Look, do you know what the ultimate tactic is, though? This is actually really, really important, okay? You always put yourself in group 5, and then you say, we'll defend the camp. Because then you can just AFK. Like, you just literally just do nothing. So now what we're going to do is we say group 5 is defend. Then it's 6, 7 go north. 8, 9 go northeast. 10, 11 northwest. 12, 13 southeast. And then 14 southwest. I think that should be good. Wait, do we enable CM, by the way? Yeah, we did. Okay. I like how people are starting it before I even have the subs organized. They're hungry for it. The thing is, these guys have joined this, and they think they're getting gold. But you know what's actually really funny? The DPS check on this one's actually kind of gnarly, especially the CC check. I actually think getting gold here is relatively unlikely, because the DPS check's kind of high, and we have randoms from the LFG. And you have to do a lot of CC. If you guys are on the stream, make sure you take loads of CC. Otherwise, it's over, basically. We actually have some Vindicators, though.
Why don't we implement a see it say it, sort it mentality for Guild Wars.
Oh yeah. What about
If you-
leeches?
yeah, about leeches. If you see a leech, say something.
Yeah.
And somebody will sort it out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, have you? Oh, actually, on Discord right now, have you seen like the stories of this person, Sim?
No.
Like, okay, so basically, this is a full leech documentation channel. Like, check this out. This is I believe, a Dragon's End fail. Yeah, it is, as you can see here. This is a Dragon's End fail. And they are literally spectating, right, on the sky scale, like, watching it unfold. It's like, actually, like, nature documentary. Like, they're watching, they're watching it happen. As Suwon wins. Event failed.
Wow.
Yeah. You haven't done the strat to avoid the instance bug yet? Wait, what's the strat, actually?
Wait, is Roy still here? Roy.
Yeah.
Roy,
fix the game, dude.
I actually am thinking about going to Seattle again. I've been quite a bit. There's only 1 year that I didn't go. I think that went last year. I stayed with Awesomeness. The year before that, I don't think I went because it was my daughter's birthday. I could go this year. I can get a decent price ticket again.
I'm telling people to bring CC. Flesh Golem, Spectral, Sanctuary.
You want me to organize an IRL protest in front of the office? What would I do? I would just say, please. What do you want me to protest?
Well, demand Guild Wars 3. Like, demand they drop the bomb.
You want me? I could just bring that to the event, right? I could just demand that they make Guild Wars 3.
Yeah.
I could just have a picture of, like, Darren's crying and then just be like, Guild Wars 3.
Yeah.
Begging for it.
And they have to drop it. Shut down the game. We're not shutting down the game, guys.
Why would we shut down the game?
Why would we want to do that? Because look, this is the thing, guys. I do not want Guild Wars 2 to ever shut down. Because in the same way that they milk you, it also indirectly allows me to milk you using the referral link. That's what you guys need to understand here. Same thing with Guild Wars 1. Like, you know, you guys can buy Guild Wars 1. And you can also be milked. Oh, there is the tech where you... Like, you can basically break through these walls a little bit early. And then you can get the essence. But nobody's doing that. Who cares?
Like, yeah, you do.
Yeah, to get the audio between the machines, I have voice meter set up. Like that. And then it just goes between the two. I actually have a separate audio channel for a bunch of stuff too.
Why would I not be able to hear that?
Because I because I don't get audio out from the mixer. I only use that for input. I don't use that for output.
Oh.
Yeah. Which is weird, and I probably shouldn't do it that way, to be honest. But yeah, that's the reason why. Yeah. Because the mixer is just handling all of the input. It's because I have this like really weird hybrid approach where I have software audio and hardware audio happening at the same time. It's not great, to be honest. I want to change to full hardware at some point. That will be the dream, but I have to actually do that. And I have not done that.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And what do you think so far of this convergence?
It's like every other one.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah. I really don't understand why they did the pre-event like this. Because I think wasn't the biggest point of feedback they got on the Soto convergence that the pre-event is weird and kind of odd?
I would really like it if, hint to any Arena employees listening, I would really like it if somebody made a blog post, kind of maybe explained patches and like some of the logic behind things. Like, just tell us what you're seeing on a player behavior level that explains why some of these decisions were made. Because to me, like, I'm probably not the typical player, and neither is Teapot, right? But when I play this stuff, I'm just like, what? Like, why? I don't, do other people want to do this? Like, is this fun for other people? Because to me, the pre-events are the worst part about Dragon Response missions, about there's like one strike mission where they did it, right? Yeah. Like those are the worst parts about every single boss event. It's just this crazy instance boss event is the pre. If you're in a meta, I actually think that's fine, and maybe this is supposed to be like a hybrid, but it doesn't feel like you can really speed these up, right?
Yeah, you can a little bit, but it's kind of frustrating. And there is still time gate, right? There's like a random 3-minute time gate before the achievement is even complete here.
Yeah, that's what I
very
mean.
Weird.
Like you're bound to that.
Yeah, it's really strange, like the way they they do it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Marshall, you're correct here, right? The Gen 3 Wild pre-event adds a strategy to the fight, but I think that's kind of what we mean. I don't think the strategy of the fight should be embedded into the pre-event. I think it should just be a part of the event.
Yeah. And also, I don't think it even is that strategic, to be honest. It's pretty brainless. Like, it's even if you do it pretty well, you can't really make it go that much faster, because like you just need to carry the essence spawns ultimately in a time-gated way, right? Like the essence keeps spawning like this. You have to pick it up. I don't think it's very strategic. And yeah, as Sneb says, right, like if you want to add strategy, well, that's what the boss is for, right? Like, why not have strategy on the boss rather than just like on this kind of like mind-numbing pre-event?
Yeah, and I've said this a lot, but I think the big miss for a lot of the recent, it doesn't even matter if it's raids or whatever, is that there's not enough collaboration when it comes to like mechanics and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's too much DPS check.
Yeah.
And like I'm fine with complexity being like Triple Trouble, where it's like, okay, we have to time this correctly, everybody. And it doesn't necessarily depend on you being an uber gamer. It just depends on you like working as a team. I'm cool with that because I think that's fun. And games are all about fun. What I'm not cool with is when you release content and it's like a 20-minute HP sponge, where your DPS check is actually like kind of relevant. You're going to get pissed off at everyone around you. I'm not okay with Eparch. Eparch is not fun because it is a 20-minute DPS check. And there are, sure, I guess the collaboration you could argue is people have to go and kill the ads, but there's like so much going on that doesn't even become relevant. I mean, I'm not necessarily a designer or anything, so I'm just speaking from a player perspective, but it feels very unnatural to have these boss fights that they don't have any complexity with collaboration or with teamwork. It's all embedded in like being able to do X amount of damage. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I think bringing up design there is really important, because if I had to give a very one-sentence answer to the weakness of Guild Wars 2 right now, it's lack of design. Like it's very clear to me that their design resources are incredibly stretched, because I think the challenge modes actually for convergences are the epitome of this. They are not different, as far as I can tell mechanically, in any way to the norm modes. All they've done is they've increased the HP number. There is no difficulty in coordination, no difficulty in actually executing the fight or strategy or anything like that. The only thing that's relevant about them is that you have to do damage to clear them. Like there's no design that's been applied to them at all. And I think that's true of the open world as well. Like, if we'll get to the meta when we get to the meta, but the problems that people have with the latest meta in the in the Bavanissos map is that the design is very lacking. It's like very, very lacking in the design aspect of it, which is I think where a lot of the complaints are coming from. And I don't really blame the devs for this, by the way. I think they're just stretched too thin. With this new expansion model, they're trying to cover all of the game and do a little bit for everyone. But I think you can really see just the resources and the amount of time they have to design this stuff really being strained. And kind of the constraints that are on the studios. But yeah.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned that Eparch's only like 8 minutes now. Yes, but people still fail it.
Well, they also, bear in mind, it's worth knowing that they gutted that fight. I think they nuked his health by like 33% or something.
Yeah, when I'm talking, like, I honestly haven't even, I think I've done it once since they nerfed it. But keep in mind, that alone should be very telling. it is so unfun for me to do it that just don't go back to it because my original experience was so tainted. And I think that a lot of players will feel that way. They have that first experience, and then they go, why the hell would I go back, right? Why I didn't have fun the first time. Why am I going to go back? And what that means is that it makes it artificially more difficult for players doing it now, because players doing it now won't have the benefit of veteran players teaching them how to do the meta, doing really good damage on the meta. So the meta remains abnormally hard.
Yeah.
It's actually quite fascinating. I've seen people go around asking if there are groups that do Epark regularly. And somebody said that I do, and I haven't played in like 6 weeks. So I was like, oh crap, I better log in to do Epark for that one guy. Yeah, it's a bit of a problem. I think specifically on NA. I don't know about EU, but on NA it's a pretty big problem.
I don't know. I have no idea if people do Epark, to be honest, on EU. I have genuinely no idea. I haven't touched that map in a very, very long time, which, you know, again, is ultimately very, very telling. I think that one of the reasons why there is so much discontent, I feel like, about the new model is that are people going to be going back to these maps in 5 years? I don't think so, right? Like, I think that's ultimately like the really big problem, is that like nobody's going to be playing Janthea Sintry, Bavanissos, or Mistburn Barons in the same way that people are still playing the Octovine today, right? Like, people are going to be going back and playing the Octovine, honestly, until the game shuts down, right? Like, that will essentially be eternal. But that's just not going to be the case with any of the new content, realistically. Also, yeah, our DPS is terrible. We're not getting gold here, for sure. That's the bad news.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, the DPS is very bad. The DPS right now, group-wide, should be around 1.3 million. It's only 800k. So basically, we're probably just above 50% of what we want our DPS to be to kind of like cleanly get gold. So that's the bad news.
Have you considered doing what Darren's and I did one time? We just made it so that our DPS showed all 50 people, and then we just publicly shamed.
Wow. I know that's what Darren's does. Like, he does... Yeah. He shows a massive arc DPS window.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, the DPS is starting to go up, though. It's nearly getting to 1 million.
People started to get upset. They were annoyed.
Yeah. Wait, really? Feel like you got mad at that?
No. I'm saying they probably, heard us.
Oh, okay, they heard me saying that, like, flaming them.
Yeah, they're like, we're ready.
Yeah. Expose the leeches? I mean, listen, guys. There are no leeches here. Leeches are a myth.
Only carnivorous slugs.
Ooh. I wonder if... No, the DPS is too low to get gold. I think you want it to be, like, at least 1.2 million at this stage. We're 200k shy. Do you know how much HP this boss is, by the way? I believe it's 460 million or something insane like that. It's absolutely massive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the real problem... Honestly, I think that the Guild Wars 2 devs are in, like, the worst possible position, because at this point, if they make something... Like, look, if they made it have, like, normal HP on release, you'd kill it instantly, every time, right? And like, all of the guilds who, like, actually do raids and stuff, they would go in and they would have 0 challenge. And then everyone would, like, be in an uproar about it. They're like, oh, it's too easy, it's too easy, it's too easy. Which is why I, again, think that they should focus more on collaboration rather than DPS checks. That aside, if they make it too hard, then we all just complain about how this is an HP sponge, right? It has too much HP, that is.
Well, yeah, I think that it really is a design problem, though. Like, realistically, the only vector that ArenaNet have for making something difficult is HP. I don't believe they have the development resources to actually go into these fights and add interesting coordination mechanics, right? I simply don't believe they have the resources to do that. So they basically have 2 choices. They can either essentially release it with, like, no extra difficulty and make it very, very easy, or they can just, give it a bunch of HP and say, okay, well, it's a DPS check. Like, it doesn't have any mechanical difficulty, but it's a DPS check, so good luck, I guess. And that's pretty much the option they went with, right? Because and this is why I actually think it was... I view it as a fairly major mistake to actually commit to doing convergent CMs in the first place, actually, and also the fractal CM. Because actually thinking about this, they have said, okay, we're going to release, like, a challenge mode for every single one of our bits of PvE content. That is a mistake, in my opinion, because what are they saying there? They're saying that they're going to basically develop the fight twice, and they weren't able to do it, right? They weren't able to do it historically, and I don't think they've really done it here either. They weren't able to actually develop these convergent CMs because they're identical to norm mode, but they've got more health. Like, Aura is bugged, so this actually has less mechanics than normal mode. Like, for example, now there's supposed to be ads up, there's supposed to be geysers appearing everywhere, but that's actually bugged, so it's not happening. But even with that, it's ultimately identical to how the norm mode is. And I feel the same way about the fractal. Like, okay, so here's an interesting question for the chat here. Would you guys rather they put they put all of the development time they put into the CM, which is basically going to be making the boss harder, pretty much, is what it's going to be. Would you rather they put that development time into making the fractal as a whole a more interesting dungeon experience? I feel like most people would say that, like rather than like adding the CM. I think I'm definitely in that camp as well. I will admit, guys, I will completely confess my bias here. I don't need Guild Wars 2 to be challenging anymore because I play WoW, right? So there is really good quality challenging content in that game. Guild Wars 2 for me doesn't really match that, so it's like I'd rather they just make like a really good RP experience, like rather than worrying too much about making essentially kind of like scuffed challenge mode content, to be honest.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, but I don't play WoW.
Yeah.
I just have to read a lot of articles.
Yeah. Dude, look at these players. They all got bubbled. Look, they're in the bubble.
That's good. Should get bubbled more.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys aren't getting gold.
Nah, there's no fucking shot. Well, actually, it's actually a little bit close.
No,
it's kind of close. It is kind of close.
I'm not a believer.
It's a little bit close.
I don't believe.
Like, if people actually continue to pump, maybe there's some potential. Because I think we actually fit. Nah, actually, there's no shot. There's no way actually. Wait, this is way too slow. Because we finished the pre-event with about like a minute extra, so I think we have around 4 minutes to kill the boss from here. But yeah, I don't think that's possible. We don't have a DPS.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna say something else that might be a bit unpopular, but I don't find this engaging at all. The running around. I actually thought in the second map in Janther Woods when you had to like run around the boss.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought that was more interesting than this. But they're really similar.
Yeah, I really do not understand why they did the boss, like... in fact, no, I think I do, actually. The reason they did this was because they didn't want the whole, oh, it's a DPS sponge for 20 minutes thing, right? So we'll put an intermission between each 25%, and that will, like, hopefully alleviate that. But to be honest... Oh, no, I think they should just design a better fight, surely, no? Like, they just need to make a better fight.
Do you remember when I had the conversation with Cam?
Yeah.
He said something so wise. He talked about how fights need to have these moments where you sort of, like, rest, right? Where you, like, kind of pause. They have to have this, like, ebb and flow.
Yeah.
And I think one of the places where you really see that happening is... I think there's two places. You see it in Epark. Yes? No. Yeah, like the... Yes. Is that the name of the strike? I just realized.
Wait, you mean Saris?
Why did I say Epark?
Do you mean Saris?
I meant Saris, yeah. I was like, my brain glitched there. I was like, it's not Epark. But I said, okay, anyway, Saris. In Saris, it's very clear that happens, right? Because you have to go and, like, kill the little illusion things or whatever. And then I think it also happens in Harvest Temple, where it, like, the intermission between each phase, right? There's sort of this resting point. When you're running around and, like, collecting orbs, I don't view that as, like, a resting phase for some reason. Though I think that's what it's intended to be, but for some reason it feels different. And I don't know that I can articulate why, but I don't know. I think it's because you're still fighting the boss in those other situations. Or it feels like you are.
Yeah. I think the problem that I have with some of this challenge mode content in Guild Wars 2, and I'd actually put the LCM into this category, to be honest, is that they designed it to be hard first and didn't really worry about if it was going to be fun. And I think that's kind of like a big issue with, I think that's kind of an issue with with Jamthier Wilds in general is that they did want these challenge modes to be challenging, but they weren't able to do it in a way that also is kind of actually a fun fight to play. I actually think the Convergent CMs are the biggest disappointment for me in the entire expansion, because I was really excited for them. Like when they announced they were doing like a full set of Convergent CMs, I was like, oh shit, this is actually kind of hype, right? Like they could do some really cool stuff here. They could bring back kind of like a Dragon's End style experience almost. This is really exciting. But then they didn't do that. You know, that didn't happen, guys. Unlucky. E was as bad as... Dude, look, I'm telling you, man, ever since we stopped doing meta trains, DPS has plummeted. I think this is mostly because people tend to do convergences entirely privately, but like the skill level in open world, like average DPS is very, very rough, actually, guys. It is very, very rough. Like, if you go into a map in open world on EU or NA, the DPS compared to, like, 1-2 years ago is way lower. It is, like, way lower.
Which should be alarming because the DPS floor is way higher.
Yeah, because the game's much easier, right? And everything's way more overpowered.
Like, people, there are AFK auto attack builds doing, like, 32k.
Yeah.
Or higher. And the DPS has gone, the average DPS has gone down. Like that is alarming, because to me that suggests a couple things. One, it suggests that people are engaging even less with those sorts of systems in the game. And it also suggests to me that the people that do engage with those systems aren't playing as much. And that should be very alarming. Or those players are still playing, but they are not engaging with the game in the same way. All of those things are bad in my mind.
Yeah, and the game has become incredibly insular, right? Like, and this is, it's kind of weird, right? Because it essentially means that a lot of people are basically completely left in the cold, right? Like, essentially, they don't know the warmth of the Discord server, so they're in hell, right? They're literally in hell, forced to try and pug this stuff, and be surrounded by people doing, 2k DPS, essentially.
Oh, like 2 weeks ago I streamed, and I was like, oh, I'll just like hop in and do some raids. I put us in the LFG. Yeah. Somebody joins, because I said I was looking for boons.
Yeah.
And the guy said, boon DPS.
Uh-huh.
And I went, that's weird. No one has ever said it like that. And then I was like, there's no way that this person is like an imposter, right? There's no way.
Okay.
And so I asked them, I say, which boon? And they're like, what do you mean? And I said, well, like, which boon are you doing? And they said, well, I have stand your ground, save yourselves. And he just like listed all, like, every utility skill was a skill that provided a boon of some sort on Guardian. And they were playing like Core Guardian or something.
Yeah.
Or no, it was Firebrand. It was Firebrand.
Yeah, you should. Surely it was a DH. Like, how is it not?
No, it was a Firebrand. I recall specifically. And I went, huh? And I said, so you have no idea that I meant that you're supposed to do quickness, and you're supposed to do that. He said, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I just read that boons do more damage. I went, well, yeah. I mean, at a base level, you're kind of right about that, but like, it's not. Anyway, the reason I tell the story is like that is a problem, because no one had told this person how boons work.
Boona! Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is weird though, like Nike was remarking on this. He said that, the DPS, arc DPS, on EU, it used to look good. Like, there was a lot of pumpers. But he says that now it looks the same as NA. It's like literally the same as NA on in terms of DPS.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
Look, I admit, like, when I get back from my trip, I was gonna like be streaming a bunch, specifically in July, and because I'll have more time then.
Yeah.
I'm like on a bit of a summer break. I'm still working on a research project and stuff, which is really cool, by the way. But I'll have some time, and I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll just like stream on EU so that I can like do content. But I don't know that it'll help. here we are.
And EU is honestly tough. Like open world DPS in EU is extremely low. So very, very low. It's kind of wild. It is wild to think about. I do think people are less engaged with the game than ever before, which
Really?
is weird to say. But I think that is the case. Wow. Janthir Wilds. I mean, look, guys. It's pretty wild, you know? Janthir Wilds is pretty wild. Janthir Sentry. Oh, I think wait. Oh, the meta's going, actually. We need to get in there.
Bava Nisos.
We might be too late. I'm not sure I
say it?
can... Yeah, it is. I'm not sure we can get in there. Try and get in. Oh, Q?
I think you can get in.
Wait, let me try the slightly deader one.
All you have to do is tell everyone that you're doing a giveaway.
Oh, it's the same. It's the same map. Oh, wait, we're at 3 in the queue, actually. Wait, queue size 3. Your position in the queue 5. What's up with that? Yeah, someone paid me to clean my inventory, guys. The only way I'm doing that. If you want me to do it again,
You can be paid.
yeah, it's 10
Can be.
gifted subs, got 25 gifted subs per character. That's what's going on. Make it happen. Guild Wars 1 Titans is better than Guild Wars 2 Titans. Well, I mean, we ended up going in the fact where you go in the Foundry of Failed Creations a lot more in Guild Wars 1, so there is that. Yeah, much easier to keep cleaning it, but he won't. I mean, why would I? There's like no point. Like, why would I devote time to cleaning the inventory, guys? Makes no sense.
Oh, by the way, earlier,
Yeah.
I was chatting with your mom, and I told her that I was your favorite mod.
Oh yeah, that is true. That is true, actually.
That I was just superior to all the other moderators in the chat.
Yeah. I mean, Awesomeness is mod too.
Yeah, I'm more.
Isn't it weird that an
favorite than
ANET dev
Awesomeness.
is
It's
mod?
crazy.
Isn't that kind of weird?
Yeah,
I'm
it's a little bit
not
weird.
sure if I should allow that.
How was the tea time? Wait, you mean like the literal tea time, or like the?
We haven't done it yet, I guess. Although we're literally doing
We're
tea
kind
time
of
now.
talking about things. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Did Darkbringer? Actually, I think there's only 2 VIPs. It's Darkbringer and Topic EU.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't really like giving VIP though. If I could, I'd actually remove them. Or it would feel weird to remove it from Darkbringer, but to be honest, I regret giving people VIPs. I think it's like a weird thing to give it to someone. It's like, oh yeah,
Really?
you got, like, yeah, you.
Well, you know what my rule is for VIP? I give anyone that I've met IRL VIP.
Oh, that's actually good. That's actually good because it has
Yeah.
like a
The
good
meaning,
criteria.
yeah.
Yeah. Because I feel like if you don't have some kind of objective criteria for it, it's gonna feel really weird. And people are like, well, why am I not a VIP?
Yeah.
Like, why are you not giving me VIP? Right?
Oh, you took away Grimm's VIP.
I did, yeah. I did take away his VIP. So yeah, I need to. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should do the same thing.
We should just have a poll to give Grimjack VIP back.
Yeah.
A democracy for the people.
You know what we could do? We could have it in channel points. So if you put 100k channel points in,
that's
you
true.
can give him VIP. But here's the thing: 100k removes it as well.
Do it right now.
Yeah.
Do it. Do it.
So
do it.
that actually means that you could basically like cleanse someone
Yeah.
from their VIP.
Yes. No. You must do this right now. Put it in
Yeah.
there. 100k is low.
100K
I
is
disagree.
low.
I think 100k is perfect because then people will fight back and forth.
Yeah.
You have to like wait until somebody's offline and then activate it again.
Yeah. I would deny several people. Oh yeah. And the Jester is not a VIP.
What if to get VIP it costs something, but then to remove it costs just a little bit more?
So well, what if
Yeah.
it was less though? So you can like
But then no one
you
would
can,
ever
like,
have
aggressively
VIP.
remove it
No one would ever be able to, no.
to
It's-
sustain it.
Yeah, no, it's better if VIP is like 100k, but then removing the VIP is like 150, 200k.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it causes people to pause a little bit and go, "Do I really want to remove it from this
Do I
person?"
want to? Yeah. Do I want to spend
and then
all those
and then
points?
it's really meaningful when they do, right?
Yeah. But what's the poll? Would you rather do core map complete with mounts as normal, without mounts, no hearts? Oh, it's 100% without mounts, no hearts. Are you kidding me? If you actually vote with mounts as normal, that's trolling. Like, deleting every heart, but you just, you know, you don't have a mount, that's actually...
Play on Thief, guys.
Yeah, like, you can go really fast. Yeah, what do you think about this emote?
No way!
This guy's very excited.
I like that.
No way. That's the face he's making right now in real life. This frog.
That's very good.
Yeah. Dink donk. It's a big dink donk there.
Yeah.
No weighing.
Should we? I think you have to do this now. Like, I think you have to do it live. I mean, you're just waiting to get into this queue. Anyway.
Yeah, I want to get it. I'm in one in the queue.
I know
Literally
you have
one.
time right now to create this channel point thing. I think you should do it.
I mean,
chat. Put a 1 in the chat.
People are
if
not
he needs
getting
to make
VIP.
it right now.
I'm not
right
giving
now.
people VIP. They don't deserve it. Nobody deserves VIP.
1 in the chat if you think
Nobody
that we
is
should implement the VIP point purchase and removal system. This is a democracy.
This is not a democracy. This is a dictatorship. I'm the overlord of the stream. If anything, guys, I would only add the remove option. So eventually, all of the VIPs are like drained, and are just removed.
Look, this chat needs morale. They've been through like a traumatic experience when this patch launched, so they need a boost.
Yeah. Well, look, here's the real vote, guys. Okay, if you guys view this patch as more nuclear than the tunnel, put 1 in the chat. If you feel the opposite, that the tunnel was actually more nuclear than this patch, put 2 in the chat. That is the actual poll.
Put a 3 in the chat if you're just here to waiting for the VIP system to work.
Some people are actually putting 2. Some people are saying that 2 is actually the tunnel was worse than this.
They want the VIP system, man.
Yeah, I mean,
look,
they definitely do.
The peepos will be so happy.
Yeah. The tunnel was good compared to this. It's very funny to me. The tunnel has phase 2. But did you hear the other day actually what Falco said, by the way?
What?
He said if Gil... And also, yo, Roy, Awesomeness, Trig, do not fuck me on this, bro. I will be very upset if you guys fuck me on this. I'm just saying. He has said that if Guild Wars 3 is good, so it's like a good game, he will gift 5,000 subs.
Bro, like, there's a lot right. Like, the financial future of Teapot is really riding on Guild Wars 3 being a good game.
I mean,
should that come out?
So I mean, look, if the ArenaNet devs fuck me on this, I feel like I can be mad at them, no? Like, they...
Wait, did he define what he meant by good game? Because he could, you know, change the goalposts here.
Well, I mean, I guess, like, if it goes down well, I guess, you know, it gets, like, good reviews.
Well, what is a good review? Because there's review inflation.
I'd say a good review is like an 8 out of 10. If you're giving this like an 8, that's like a good review, right?
Yeah.
Like 7 to 8.
I was gonna say that a 7 is like a good game.
I'd say like above a 7 is like that's a good game. Yeah. Like you know, if I saw a 6 out of 10, I'd start thinking, ooh, that's a little rough, right? But 7, like okay, that's respectable. Like you can live with that, I think.
5,000 subs.
Yeah.
Wow.
5,000 subs. That will be about $25,000.
Think about all the emote slots we'll have.
Yeah.
We could tell a story with emotes.
And the thing is, I would get a 70% cut of that. So that would be pretty good. That'd be what, like 17 grand?
You could buy a lot of pasties or whatever with, with 17 grand.
Yeah, you know, like, if you want to, I should have ordered you some. There's actually a place that I order pasties from.
Pasties. That's so weird. When it's the Canadian accent. Pasties. Like that's how I have to say it.
Yeah, that's something very different.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
Yeah. Mushy peas? I mean, yeah, that's a fish and chips thing, yeah. Have you been to Greg's? Yeah, have you been to Greg's, actually? Have you experienced Greg's?
Oh, I actually have a good story about Greg's. Oh, yeah? I hope my wife's not listening because I'm about to embarrass her. So, we're at the freaking bus station in Bristol. Yeah. And she's like, I'm so hungry. I need to get some food. And we're there, and I'm like, can't you just wait? We're going to go eat with Teapot after. And She's like, I need something right now. And I'm like, I have some stuff in my backpack. She's like, no, I need it right now. And I'm like, okay, well, do whatever you want. And so we go over and we see Greg's. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but that looks interesting. So we go up to the door.
Yep.
And she pulls on the door.
Uh-huh.
And she's like pulling and she's like, it's locked. And we walk away. And we get a sandwich from like the crappy place that's in the bus station. And then we walk out and we look over and somebody just pushes the door.
Oh my god. Wait, are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Wait, you didn't try to push the door?
I didn't because she was over there. She's the one who went in.
Yeah, well,
so she just like is pulling and I'm like, look, I'm like, maybe they're closed. I look in, there's always employees standing there, but there's nobody else in there. So I'm like, this makes no sense. But I'm like, is there a different door? Maybe we have to enter from a different location. And no, she just didn't push the door. So no, we didn't go to Greg's because of that.
wow.
Yeah.
Do you eat beans for breakfast? Yes. Yes. And actually, the place we went to eat today actually they do breakfast as well. They do really good breakfast. And I think Sneb is interested in trying it actually.
I'll do it. We can do like
yeah.
We can do run and then we can do breakfast.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. We can 100% do that.
No Timmy's in the UK? That's false. I saw one.
There you go.
And I was like, what the hell? They have Tim Hortons here. There was not an absurd line
I think
like there's
it's
in Canada,
I think it's very uncommon. I think it's relatively uncommon. There's not that many.
Oh yeah,
but it does exist. Yeah.
It's probably a novelty Canadian thing, honestly.
Yeah, it does exist. Yeah,
Yeah.
feeding Sneb beans is a good idea.
I mean, anything
well,
can
he's
happen.
not. I mean, he's not afflicted by
No.
Double Dragon currently.
Yeah, I've been okay actually.
Yeah.
I did Google.
You say that that's like abnormal. That's like a shock to you.
Well, you know, I just occasionally go through like an experience, right? Every once in a while. Guys, I've tried some interesting food. I went to the store and I just picked a bunch of chocolate that I'd never had before. And it was pretty good.
Mm.
Yeah. And then I tried Turkish Delight.
Yeah.
I guess I'd never had that before. I don't know, maybe I have in Canada, but I'd never had it before.
Yeah.
So I tried that. That was okay.
What brand of chocolate was it?
It
wasn't Cadbury, right? Because
Well,
Cadbury's been
we ha-
taken over by Americans. Like,
like
it's
we
over.
have Cadbury in Canada.
Yeah, it's just
I did
game
buy
over.
one Cadbury because it was a different kind than we have in Canada. It was like the little Biscoff one. So I was like, really? And so I tried that one because I thought it was interesting. But what else did I get? Oh, also the different soft drinks are interesting. I got a Fanta that was
Yep.
like raspberry.
Classic.
That was really good. It's crazy. And then there's this other drink, the other soft drink. If you said it, I'd know what it is. I can see the bottle in my head. I don't remember what it was called.
Sprite?
No, it wasn't Sprite.
What? Do people love Sprite over here?
Well, we have Sprite though. I mean, it was
Well, yeah,
one of the-
I'm not saying it's like only in the UK you have access to Sprite.
Yeah, that's it. Luke has that one. I don't know how to say it.
Oh, Lucozade.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I had that one.
Yeah.
That was pretty good too.
Yeah.
What else did I have? Oh, I had this white chocolate. It was just white chocolate. I can't remember what
Okay.
it was called though. And that was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think of like other stuff that I've had. Okay, the most interesting thing about the food here to me is that it's not infested with sugar.
Well,
And
yeah,
so I'm talking about sweets that obviously has sugar, but like
Yeah.
but the other food that I've had tastes like more pure.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to describe it. Maybe like earthy. Like there's one restaurant in the city that I'm in that if you come and visit next year, I'll take you to. It's
Yeah.
really cool. It's like built in an old water tower, so you get like a full view. You like see the Rocky Mountains in the distance. Really cool. But they have like a lot of local ingredients, so their food tastes very like pure.
Yeah.
And that's how pretty much all the food is tasted here,
Yeah.
which is very interesting to me. Like we've gotten like pizzas at a couple places, because they're like the like really thin crust, like stone fired pizza, and it just like the tomato sauce is like it's not just full of sugar, and like the ketchup that we've had at different places is not loaded with sugar.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Canada is probably better than the U.S. as far as food, but like in general, but it's still loaded with sugar. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common in I think Europe in general, but definitely in the UK, because we have kind of like a bit of a war on sugar right here in the
about
UK.
that,
You know,
yeah.
like it's like, oh, we gotta reduce the sugar, like, reduce the
We
salt
need to
and
do that in
stuff.
Canada,
That's kind of like
honestly.
the vibes. I think it's interesting, right? Because I think in the UK we're okay with fat, right? Like, you know, we're in the UK, we love fried food, right? Okay, like we love
Yeah.
it. Okay, but sugar is like, we're gonna shut that down. Okay, we're shutting that down now.
It's super interesting. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
the food is so much better, so much better. Yeah. I'm really enjoying the food here. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Look, see, and the thing is, the UK has a reputation for having bad food. Feels
Really?
bad. Yeah, it's true.
I'm
True.
sure
It's
like
because of the slop, okay? Because I will admit, there is slop that exists in the UK, especially, you know, because of what happened after the war. There wasn't a lot of food, so basically everyone ate slop, and some of that slop has kind of persisted to an extent. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, a new
Yeah.
build.
Yeah, okay, somebody just said something about the bread. This is very true.
Oh yeah.
The bread that I've had here has been okay, like you can get bread like this
Yeah.
in Canada, but it's so much more expensive and niche that you're probably not going to have it very often. I
Yeah.
like right now actually back home the farmers markets are just starting, and I'll go like every freaking Saturday and get fresh bread from this French woman that owns a bakery in the town, because it's just fantastic bread. But it is like 2 to 3 times as expensive as a regular loaf of bread. But the regular loaf of bread you get at the store is just like sweet and full of preservative. Like, it's just garbage compared to the bread that I've had here. Yeah, the bread here has been so good that it's like indescribable. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, wow, I'm glad to hear that. I am definitely a bread enjoyer.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, do they fix the CMs? Awesomeness has dropped it.
Fixed an issue. Fixed issue caused players to be redirected. Failed.
They didn't do it.
Weekly
wait, this
challenge
is-
mode. Achievement from progressing correctly. Removed an unintended item from the gem store. Wait.
Oh,
That's
this is old news. Wait, why'd you link this?
You got
Awesomeness?
debated.
He literally linked the wrong
You're
thing.
cached. He
He
said.
actually linked the wrong thing.
He said you're cached.
Okay, fine. Refresh.
Traders Sakers usually purchase more than once per week.
Oh, it's the Dragon Bash thing, yeah. Like the exploit, yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Tea with milk? Yeah, tea with milk is definitely a thing in the UK, but I mean, I drink black tea, and many other people do as well. But, I mean, yeah, so a lot of people do drink tea with milk. Actually, that is true.
What part of Canada is still living in? I was just so fortunate food-wise living in Calgary. I mean, I'm probably in a pretty good. I'm from Calgary area. I'm from south of Calgary, so yeah. I'm not saying that our food is trash, but like it's interesting the difference in food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is rye bread in the UK? Yes, rye bread does
Oh, I
exist.
love rye bread.
We have access to it.
You guys don't like rye bread? I love rye bread.
Yeah. Yes. OMG. Okay, here's an interesting comment from YouTube.
Yeah.
OMG, Teapot and Sneb together. This is a signal that we have 15 more years of Guild Wars 2, or that the game dies tomorrow. There's no other option.
It dies.
Which one do you think it is? Like, is the game dying or?
No. See, no, I heard about the patch. I couldn't play it because I was traveling, and I went, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I've got to fly to the UK and talk about this. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's so apocalyptic.
that's pretty much the motivation for this. Oh, you haven't seen the full meta, but like this right here, this is the end. Like
What?
Yes.
You're killing a champion.
Yeah. When this champion dies, the event will end.
Are people at least split up on the map a bit? It looks like it.
You have to do like 3 of them at the same time, and you kind of like converge and go help out the other ones. But and this.
Wait, there's no timer on them?
There is a timer, yeah, but it's like trivial.
No, but like if you kill this one, there's no like.
No,
1
there's
minute.
no coordination. Yeah, there's no coordination
Oh
timer.
my gosh.
Yeah. And like this patch, this broke people more than the tunnel. Like Darren's lived the tunnel. He survived the tunnel, but he didn't live this. That's what you've got to always bear in mind.
Wait, I think if we all believe hard enough,
Phase 2.
There's a phase 2.
Yeah. Look, I honestly came into this thinking like, yeah, there is going to be phase 2. Something's coming out of the mist gate or whatever. they're going to drop something crazy. And I actually blame Roy for this. Look, if Roy hadn't gone as psycho as he did, I would have not expected that to be phase 2. Because when at the start of the map, he said to me in chat, you guys are going to get farmed. Yeah. He said you guys
I remember that. I was there.
And I was like, oh shit, he's actually feeling confident. Now I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling like hyped about this.
That was the greatest debate of all time.
Yeah, and he just baited us.
I forget where I was, but I might have been traveling and stuff then too. Yeah. No, I definitely was. I think I was in Toronto, or I was maybe in the airport or something, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to stick around as long as possible to see what happens, and then nothing happened. Oh well.
He said the same thing with Dagda CM. Wait, did he actually? Didn't we one-shot Dagda CM?
Yeah, he did. We did.
Yeah. Dagda CM was really interesting, though, because I think people found it quite difficult because I had a bit of a DPS check on it, so it did win. Like, Dagda CM feasted on the community, I think. A fair bit. And I think it still does, although there's been a lot of power creep, so I think we lost a lot less so now.
How did you have 3 computers and 5 monitors in here?
Okay, so for like the motor setup?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a little bit difficult to kind of express it, but so I was here where you are now.
Yeah.
Angels was here. Okay, I had like an extra desk here. He was like over there, essentially. Then my brother was behind the green screen. Okay, so it was like that. Also, the setup was a different desk back then. So this PC.
Oh yeah, this is the new desk.
Yeah, this is a new desk. So this PC was kind of a bit more over here. It was like under the desk as opposed to on the. And so Angels was in there, like in his tiny space. Very funny, actually. It was very cramped. And then my brother was behind the green. Like it was very, very cramped, and let me put it like this, guys. The stench was close to intolerable. Because it was basically the 3 of us. It was a really hot summer's day with 5 monitors in here, I think, and 3 PCs running. So like the amount of sweat was, I mean, it was close to unbearable. You could almost like see the steam in the air. It was like being inside a sauna, but with human sweat liquidating onto you.
Wow.
Yeah, gamer juices.
That's pretty intense.
Gamer juice. Yeah.
I just stripped down. Right?
Yeah. Had to strip down? Have like a gachamuchi wrestle? When the room tour? I mean, look, you guys are going to see mild doxing tomorrow. Because basically we don't know exactly when, guys. We might... I mean, I'm not going to lie. Okay. We probably don't want to run at like midday because it will be very hot.
Yes, we need to do it somewhat in the morning.
Do you want to go before or after? That's the question. Because like we could either like run at like 10 a.m.
I think we should run at like 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Okay, yeah, that would be fine. That would be quite pleasant. Because if we do it at like midday through to 2 p.m., that's not going to be good.
Yeah,
that's going to be rough.
Well, I guess it depends on how hot it is going to be tomorrow. But have you checked?
I actually have not. Let's.
It was like 28 today or something. Okay, maybe that's more at Bristol.
Okay.
It's
actually
it's
fine.
It's gonna be great.
It's actually fine.
That's perfect.
Yeah, it's 18. It's gonna be 18 degrees tomorrow. Like 18 is very high, actually.
It is crazy seeing 77% humidity because
yeah,
where I live, it's like 30% or something. Like it's pretty low.
Yeah. See, that's actually fine then. It's not a big deal. A step tracker on your phone. I mean, for counting steps, yeah, I just use like the scuffed phone implementation.
I have the watch.
Yeah. And I just kind of YOLO it. It doesn't, I don't go for like a precise amount. I just try to get some good distance. And yeah, tomorrow, guys, we are going to be running 5K. It's going to be big. But is your wife running with us, by the way?
She was thinking about it, but then she was like, I don't want to be on stream.
That's fair. That is fair.
She thinks you guys will pick on her.
Wait, what the fuck? Wait, why? The chat would not do that. Wait, why would the chat do that?
I feel like somebody might.
Wait, really?
She's just really self-conscious.
That's fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying we're not going to force that.
No. But I think she was thinking about it. Maybe she'll want a like. Maybe she'll do it, but she'll just trail far behind.
Yeah. Dude, like the thing is, like if you know what would be really fucking funny is if my mom runs with us because she's actually quite good.
Oh,
she would like
us,
actually,
yeah.
she would fucking humiliate us. I'm not even joking, dude.
Yeah.
We would actually get completely humiliated.
Yeah. Who wins in a race? Oh, Teapot would win right now.
Yeah.
Naru, for contact, like you guys aren't allowed to make fun of me either because I'm running. This will be like the first time I've tried to run. Oh, okay, I've tried to run for the last like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But I have to stop because at a certain point, because in October I broke my foot, remember, and then I was in like a boot for 2 months. Then I did physio for a few months. And so the last few months I've just been trying to like walk more. But even walking, like I get to a point where my foot has pain, right? If I'm not careful. So yeah, I used to be like quite a runner, but I also used to be like 50 pounds lighter. So, so you know, you get married and you have kids, and then you get like. Yeah. So now we're back in it. The goal initially the goal was to like around now try to run a half marathon, and I was training for that when I broke my foot.
Yeah.
So then we had to divert, you know, to just like let's start now, do the 5K, and I'll rehabilitate for next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the goal that we've kind of got penciled in right now is we want to run a half next year.
So what we can do is we can say that like this is our starting point, and then in about a year from now we can do a live stream in Canada.
Yeah.
And we can run like the Calgary half and live stream it, which would be sick.
That would be fun, yeah. Wait, what time of the year is that actually? May, okay.
Ish.
Yeah. So that'll be almost like a year from now then, basically. Yeah. I think that's actually very doable, to be honest. Well, assume we don't.
Oh, it's super doable. I've read a lot of. There's things where you can do, like it's pretty rigorous, but if you can do like a 6-month training regime, and if you do that, you can run a half.
Yeah. It's definitely doable if we put in effort, put some grind in, get it done. That would be good. That would also be good content. It's like a 5K. It's actually not going to take us very long. The stream's not going to be that long, right? Yeah. But
Naru's 6 foot, 155. That is slim.
That's pretty lean, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna get wrecked tomorrow. Oh, by the way, everybody, I don't know if everybody knows. I haven't streamed in a while because I've just been traveling for conferences.
What's up with that, dude?
I tried to stream before I left for Toronto. I think I did that once. But in July, I'll be able to stream again, which is great because I'll be home for 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, for context, everybody. I traveled to Banff, Toronto twice. Now here, I gave 3 other presentations at various conferences around kind of my hometown. Started a new job and took 2 classes and finished teaching 2 classes all in the last 3 months. There was actually one night where I didn't sleep, and there were a few nights where I only slept for 3 hours. So I'm finally like, you know, I'm getting back into it. Oh, you say Toronto differently? What are you talking about?
Oh, well, I mean, how would Nanny pronounce it?
Do people out east say something different? I don't know.
Maybe.
Toronto.
Maybe they do, maybe they don't.
It's like saying Calgary. Calgary. I flip between the two. Calgary, yeah.
I brought to the Calgary Marathon in 2024. Oh, shit. I think that was one of the ones with... Wait, weren't we thinking of, at one point, like, a goal be... Didn't we want to do something in Arizona, I think?
Yeah, because I have family that have a place in Arizona. So we could do that. But if we do that, Arizona is freaking hot, man.
Yeah, you don't want to go when it's warm there because we'd
have to do it in like
that's GG.
It's kind of tough because we'd have to probably do it in December or it's frankly I'll just be honest, like it's more expensive to do it that way because of when we'd have to do it because so many more people will go that the tickets are like gonna be it's gonna be rough. Toronto.
And then the map just throws you out, by the way. Like, that's it. We just did the whole meta, and the map just kicks you after that. This was when I mentally broke because I was like, okay, here we go, here we go, here we go. I even thought it was a bait because it's like critical immune response. Like, this is it. It's going to unleash some kind of like giga horror to come and fight us, and then nothing happens. Like, this was brutal. This was, I will admit, guys, this was tough.
Oh.
This was tough to watch happen.
Of ice. Oh my god.
That's a good meme. Topical humor.
That
Yo.
That was good.
We love to see that. Very
Yeah.
good.
I would like to, oh, I've been trailing. Okay, so my wife and I have a challenge going right now. And this is the challenge. I haven't been able to talk about it much because I haven't been streaming very much. But this just started like a month ago. My wife is currently kicking my ass, which is not good. But it's because I've been traveling so much, but she keeps rubbing it in my face. And I'm going to tell you that in July, I'm going to absolutely dominate. So just get ready.
Ooh.
But we have a goal. First person to lose 15% of their body weight gets $1,000. It's because we budget and then we put like a little bit in this like fun fund. And so whoever does this gets to pull $1,000 from the fun fund. So I could buy whatever I wanted.
Yeah. And that's pretty big. What would you spend $1,000 on? Gems?
Yeah. What if I just swipe and I just blow it all the black line chests?
Gamba? Well, look, you could say that's research, no?
Yeah.
It's for your own research.
15. Yeah, I want to lose
50%? 50%? You drop 50% body weight?
Yeah, I think if I did that, I'd be like borderline anorexic at that point, guys. Look, I'll be super honest. Like, I've, back, like, was it like a year and a half ago when I went on my fitness kick? I was doing super well until I got hurt. I really hurt my shoulder, and I couldn't do anything. And then I was like out of it for 6 months and I was like, oh, I got to get back into this. And then I broke my foot.
Yeah.
So I've been through a couple bad bouts of luck, but I had lost 25 pounds at that point.
Yeah.
And I was getting jacked. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I was doing really well. I loved it. So I'm like 240 right now. And I want to get to like, to beat my, it sounds bad, to beat my wife. No, to beat my wife at the competition.
Whoa, guys, shut it down.
To win the challenge, I must get to like 205 or something. Yeah. If I win the challenge, you can all call me wife beater Sneb. That'll be super funny.
Bro, oh my god. Okay.
She would find that funny. Come on, it's fine.
It's good content. Yeah. No, I think that's a good goal. I'm definitely in a similar position. To be honest, I'm really looking to kind of get back into fitness. I've been training for running and getting a lot of steps in since the start of May, basically. And I'm looking to carry that forwards, right? Yo, dude, Falco with the 10 gifted subs.
Nice.
Daily gifted subs. That is what I'd love to see, guys. Okay, and look, do you know that gifted subs are 35% off right now?
Holy.
That's a good deal.
Imagine the value.
That's crazy. Did you know that you can give me money at a discounted price?
Wow.
Also, Falco just sent me something. What is this? Oh, wait, what the hell? Wait, what the hell is this? Okay, check this out. This is, I believe it's Ceres.dll expanding to World versus World.dll. What do you think about that?
I mean, honestly, that's based.
Yeah. Did you see that Ceres.dll works for? Look, this is the image. It works for the entire game now. They have full DLLs for every.
Wow. You know, honestly, if you need a DLL to beat Spirit Veil, I kind of question like your ability. Like, should you be allowed to drive?
Yeah,
that's a question.
Imagine thinking like, oh yeah, Veil Guardian is too hard.
Guys, I'm not even kidding. If you legitimately believe that Veil Guardian is just too difficult to the point where you go out and download software to play the game for you, there's no way you pass your driver's test.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Holy shit. Dude, the Wicked Frogs, they killed Greer.
Really?
Yeah, look at that.
Good for them.
They had 6 seconds left on the timer.
Jeez, yeah. That's close.
I believe they nearly disbanded.
They killed it though.
They did.
Now they can disband.
They can now freely disband if they desire. But yeah, I believe this nearly mentally broke them. Green Death playing the Forbidden One, as you can see there. Look, I like how you guys win when you have a DPS Scourge. Okay, that's what you needed. That is what you needed the entire time. Okay, you need the Scourge. Wait, he was top DPS, and look at that. Look who was top DPS below 10%.
Wow.
Scourge.
Yeah.
Okay, look at that. Okay, look at these cringe Mechanist players. The Scourge actually carried the DPS below 10%. Yeah, no will benders. They almost did. Greer nearly did break them. I guarantee it. Like, wait, I mean, weren't you talking about this, Greeneth? You were saying that you nearly, like, mentally died to that boss. It was just crushing your spirit. Daily. Do you think maybe they installed the DLLs? That's why they killed it. Didn't they all install Greer.dll?
Maybe they did.
Yeah. Wait, that tomorrow there's a moderate thunderstorm warning. Holy shit.
That's great.
That's crazy. What if we get struck by lightning?
I mean, I guess it was for the content.
Yeah. That would be content. That would be pretty decent, actually. Wait, he's saying that it wasn't even Wicked Frogs? Wait, Green, was it not even frogs, bro? Who even is that? My Greer logger today. Okay, let's compare them. This is like a fair bit quicker. Wow. Look at that. Pretty similar comp though. Willbender. Ranking. Any Grees? Any proto Greers in the mix, guys? Us on Monday. 823. Yeah, this is like way higher DP. Look at that. Absolute crank. You love to see it. Look, DPS Scourge once again. Putting in the work. Oh, okay, I'll give that. The Renegade kind of pumped there. Holy shit. 40k.
Yes, ma'am.
You love to see that. Greer is pissed when people kill. Yeah, if you kill E-Reg, obviously like the fight is kind of piss. There's like no damage on it. Wow. I know. You know what's weird though? You know what's really weird? You've basically seen the entire patch, by the way.
That was it?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, there's like a weirdly low amount of content in this patch, to be honest. There's really not a lot. And, you know, the weird thing is about Bavanissos is, you know, because they split the map, right? Like, originally it was going to be this map would kind of, like, connect, and they instead divided it into two, right? They divided it into two instead. And I think that did make sense. I think this event going directly into this one would be really weird. But I think the really big problem is that this map is it essentially like doesn't even exist, right? Like there's like no content on it outside of the meta event, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, you know, I pretty much well, except for the new patch, I 100%ed Janther Wilds up until this point.
Yeah,
and I gotta say, like I even one day I logged in and I was like, I want to make the spear, so I just made it like instantly, right?
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, all right. I don't know. I'm hesitant to be too critical all the time because I have been engaging with the game in a different way. And I don't know. I don't really want to be like super negative or anything. But to me, this is just my opinion as a big, long-time Guild Wars 2 fan. You might even call me a Guild Wars 2 fanatic.
Ooh.
I'm just really disappointed. Like, I'm not even like angry or anything. I'm just really disappointed as a fan.
Yeah.
I'm just disappointed because I really love the game and I want to see it flourish, and I don't view this as flourishing.
Yeah,
I view this as lower quality and lower quantity, and that's to me a step away from the Guild Wars 2 that I know and love.
I think this is a really interesting point to talk about, actually, because I think this is where people get really confused about negativity. Like, Another 3 subs from Falco. Keep it going, bro. Keep it going. How about another like billion subs, bro? Remember the 5K. You better hope there's a discount when you have to give 5K subs, bro.
I'd wait for the discount if I'm giving 5K subs.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that confuses people is that, especially newer players, go like, wow, why are people so negative about this patch? I thought it was pretty okay, right? And I actually really understand that disconnect because, and I think now, especially because I'm playing other games, I actually get that a lot more because, in my opinion, Jantho Wilds is okay. I'd give it 6 out of 10. I'd say it's above average, right? Like, it's not a 5 out of 10. It's okay. It's all right. It's not mind-blowing, but it's okay. And I think that what happens is that, of course, like a lot of the like the long-term fans of the game kind of always compare like the peak of the game, basically, or the peak of their experiences to whatever new is coming out. I think this is like very common for like long-term like live service games, and that leads to this like really interesting disconnect where people can be talking about something like it's a complete disaster, even though like if you kind of analyze it, or from an analytic perspective, it's like, oh yeah, this is like pretty okay. And that's what I feel about Jantho Wilds. Like Jantho Wilds is like pretty okay. But if you compare it to the peak of the game, yeah, it's really bad. But I think it's important to keep in mind that you have to look at it in both senses, right? You have to go, okay, well, you're talking about how you want the game to flourish. I really feel that 100%, like big time, yeah. Like, I wish that the game would drop an insane patch that would, like, get everyone excited for the game again. Like, that would be, like, a huge dream for me if they do that. And kind of wanting that to happen is where I think a lot of the negativity comes from, is that people really believe in this product, right? People believe in Guild Wars 2 as a product, as a, and ArenaNet as the company, right? And when the studio and the game doesn't reach that almost like perceived standard, there's like a lot of negativity that comes out of that, right?
It's quite tough. I think if you play the game very casually, you'd probably be fine with jumping in every once in a while. It's to me, it's the expansion thing. It doesn't work for me. That doesn't mean it doesn't work for everyone or it doesn't work for every purpose or whatever. But the way that they have the expansion schedule, it just doesn't work for me. I used this sort of comparison before, and I think it's a good one. It's kind of like if I went to watch Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And I watched the pilot, and they're like, all right, come back for episode 2 in 3.5 months. And I was like, whoa. No, that was pretty good. You come back, and you're like, oh, episode 2 is pretty good. But like, you start to forget about it after a while because it's just so slow, right? Like, it's just one episode, 45 minutes an hour every 3 months or so. And you're like, it's just dripping too slow. It's not enough. This is just my personal opinion. I would prefer every 2 years and a whole lot and double the content all at once. I would prefer that experience.
Yeah.
The problem is, or you do it every year, but you have double the content on release. Like, all the content happens all at once. Because the issue with this is, if you strike out at any point with the patches, at any point, if it's just not enough content or it's full of bugs or whatever, then it's just so obvious.
Yeah.
But if you release everything at once and something's kind of bugged or it's not tuned properly, whatever, people can ignore that because they will focus on the other parts of the game. But it's just too in your face when a mistake is made, because there's just not enough content. It's just dripping.
It's the only thing to focus on, right?
Yeah.
It's like the only thing that's happening.
Like, look at what's happening right now. All anybody can think about are the like extreme game-breaking bugs that are happening. Right?
Yeah.
And keep in mind, I feel like I'm not being harsh when I say that the bugs were really bad on release for this patch. Were they not? Like, they had the extreme game-breaking LCM thing where people were bugging that, which they fixed to their credit. but they had that. Then they had the like weird economy stuff that happened for a few hours, where people were going like insane, and then and like just duping gold, basically. And then there were a couple other like minor things, right, that prevented you from progression.
I mean the convergency amps aren't working.
Yeah. So there are all these things, and
things, yeah.
and if you think about it, it's really not that bad, right? Like all in all, yeah, there's some mistakes, whatever. It's not that bad. But what makes it really bad is that there's just not enough other content to think about. So literally is blocking like half the things you would do for this patch. And to me, that's the issue. It's not that there are bugs. It's not that they're not fixing them fast enough, really, even. It's just that the drip of the content is so slow that when you finally get that drip, you're like so dehydrated. You try to consume it all at once, but then it's poisoned.
Yeah. Yeah, if I had to if I had to say something, I would say that I think it's a mistake. The big strategic mistake they made, in my opinion, is that they're trying to be the jack of all trades. They're trying to go, okay, we're going to make a fractal with a hard mode. We're going to do raids with CMs. We're going to do convergences with CMs. I feel like they've spread themselves really, really thin, and we're kind of seeing the cracks in that, because not only is the amount of content pretty damn low, it also is having a couple of issues with QA as well. Like, I don't think the bugs have been that bad. And actually, kind of on a more broad point, I think your analysis on this is good. I don't really view bugs as a problem. Like, stuff being released bugged is like kind of inevitable, right? Like in a game as big as Guild Wars 2, and old stuff breaking when you release a patch. I think that's not weird at all. I think that's exactly what you'd expect. I think it happens in like every game, to be honest. But the fact that, yeah, like there is a limited amount of activities that basically get presented to the player with every new patch, and if those have issues, then yeah, it can feel a little bit rough, I guess. With that.
Yeah, and it's not even necessarily that everyone's engaging with those content, because Grim brings up a good point. Like, there's like 20 people playing or LCM. It's not even necessarily about people playing it. It's the perception, right? When people see other people playing it, or they hear about it, it's like, oh, like that's one of the only things they just brought out this patch, and it doesn't work, right? Like that's what people will think, and I don't think that's necessarily super fair, but it's just the reality of the perception.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that is definitely a problem. Like, it's one of these weird things, but I would almost say I would like to see ArenaNet do an expansion that doesn't really have instance content in it. Seriously.
Well, if they do that, they have to have repeatable content, and that could be metas. They need to have solid metas with every map. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't. I think that the raid was cool. Wing 8 was cool. And, you know, I respect ArenaNet for having the balls to do it. Like, it was a cool thing to do, right?
Yeah.
But I think it came at a price. I think the price is probably too expensive. Because I think the core demographic of the game is just not happy. Right? Like the amount of story we got is crazy low. Like, it is a very, very small amount. And more importantly, I want to be really careful with criticizing this, because I don't think the story writers are the problem. I do see this kind of like, oh, the writers have no idea what they're doing. Guys, I think that is a really unfair criticism. Like, bear in mind the job that these guys have to do. They have to tell a follow-up story to the main expansion, right? In less than 3 hours of screen time. They have 3 episodes, right? And each of those episodes is going to be around an hour of gameplay. And that's generous, by the way. That's generous. It can be less than that. That is very difficult to do, right? Because it's not like a TV show. Because in a TV show, right, obviously the story is very dense. Like, the entire thing is just, you know, you're watching this unfold. A game is much less dense in, like, how the information is being shared to you, if that makes any sense, right? Because you've got to have, like, actual gameplay attached to that alongside, like, dialogue. You can't have the entire thing just be exposition. That's not how video games work. So they really don't have much time to tell this story. So I think they're in a really tough position. Like, I think they're unable to deliver on delivering like kind of like a compelling story and stuff like that, because they just don't have enough time to actually tell something cool, really. And you can see that with the open world too. Like, and again, this is something that I think is kind of pretty based. Like, in my opinion, it's pretty obvious that almost all of the design, like encounter design, went into the raid. There's a reason why they reuse like Decima and Greer and Ura 50,000 times. Like, even like if you look at the Bava-Nisos map, right, a lot of the NPCs there basically use the same abilities that Decima uses in particular. There's a reason for that. It's because all of their design, in my opinion, pretty obviously went into that raid. Right, if you look at the new Fractal, right, the new Fractal is essentially a recycled Whisper of Jormag. That's the end boss, more or less. And again, it's because they put so much into that raid. And guess what happened? Yeah, the rest of the game suffered because of that. Like, the open world suffered massively in terms of the quality of the encounter and, like, replayability of the open world. I think that's a major issue. I don't think they should do that again. Because that is, like, the core demographic, right? That's the player base. Like, Guild Wars 2 is not known as a raiding game, right? Like, Guild Wars 2 is known as an open world experience. And I think Janthir Wilds does not deliver on that open world experience like nearly as well as it should have done, especially considering like how cool Lowland Shore is. But like the other maps just like really did not hit. That's just conjecture. I don't think it's conjecture, to be honest, because I think there's evidence to support it. I'm not like random. The way you're phrasing that is you're saying that I'm randomly speculating. I don't think I'm randomly speculating. Like, I can point to you some pretty compelling evidence that I think a lot of their design time like went into that raid. Because you can see that with like how often those mechanics get used. They used it in the open world. They used them in the convergence. They used them in the raid itself. They then reuse, in particular, a lot of the, you know, they reused the Greelings, right, on Bava-Nisos. They reused Decima's abilities on the end boss of the new meta event as well. It's like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. It's the way it is.
Yeah, to me, it's very clear. It's very clear that the whole team is not working Guild Wars 2. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
There's no way. No way. Just simply because of the amount of content we're getting and the quality. And that's not a knock, by the way. I'm just a fan of the game. Right? I'm just a fan of the game.
Yeah.
I'm not angry. I'm not like mad at the devs or whatever. I'm just saying there's a big difference in quality and quantity of content.
Yeah.
And it is there has to be a reason, and I don't think it's because the devs aren't talented or something.
No.
I think the devs are remarkably talented. I've been to the studio, guys. It is incredible, right? It is absolutely incredible, and the people there are all very kind. They care about the players. There are people. Look, some of the devs pulled me aside and just asked me for feedback. Like, they care a lot about the game, guys, a lot. I just don't think all of them are working on Guild Wars 2 right now. That's my speculation, just based on what we've seen from like leaks and from like
and just
the
the job
hiring
positions.
posting.
Yeah, the hiring postings, yeah. Like, I think it's pretty obvious, guys. Like, you know, to be clear, me and Sneb don't have any something like this is not like a coded message. We're not like tapping in Morse code or something. But listen, okay, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to realize that, yeah, ArenaNet is very clearly working on something else. Like, I'm of the opinion that it's Guild Wars 3 at this stage. I think that's very likely given the nature of the job postings, the way they've been described and so on.
If it's not Guild Wars 3, then it's some other project, some game that they're working on. Just the reason that I feel like it has to be a sequel at this point is because it feels like so many of the people that would be working on Guild Wars 2 are working on this other project. That's what it feels like based on what we're seeing from the game right now and the new expansion cycle. Like, all of this to me adds up to like preparing for something. So there you go.
Yeah, no, I think it's very likely that it will be something like that. I think that would make a lot of sense. I think because look, in my opinion, Guild Wars 2 is in a really interesting spot. Like, it almost has like a bit of a weird reputation problem in a way. Like, you know, Guild Wars 2 is obviously a very good game, but it kind of has some issues that I think are best resolved by actually just making a new game. There's actually a conversation I saw. This was kind of regarding Path of Exile, right? And that some of the motivation behind making Path of Exile 2 was to actually kind of renew the brand image in a sense, because, you know, obviously, like, players play the, I mean, you can see this, right? Like, and if you've played any MMO, you've definitely seen this. Go to forums and go to, you know, anywhere where people discuss this stuff. You will hear statements and opinions about a game that are very outdated, right? That don't really make any sense. Some like classic ones about Guild Wars 2 would be the game has no end game, right? Like it's a pure casual game with like no content. Does that game even have PvP, etc., 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 right? And of course, it's not really the case anymore, especially on the PvE side. But it was true at the time, right? And people have kind of taken that information, disseminated it. And this happens with all of the products there. Like all online games like this, in my opinion. So Guild Wars 2 is no different. So I think that's why it makes sense to kind of do that. Like the only game that I've seen kind of get away from this, funnily enough, is WoW. Because they have the ability to like scream from a megaphone, right? I think WoW is in a unique position to kind of continually renew and recreate its image because it is such a massive product and Blizzard Entertainment is such a big company. But yeah, it is what it is.
I want to address a comment.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there was a comment that said being at the studio I wouldn't be able to know if the devs were talented. I talked to the devs, and no, I don't understand code, but I think when we talk about devs, we're not talking specifically
not programmers.
about
not just programmers. Yeah.
I don't feel like I have to be a programmer to understand that the people who work on the game in general are talented by me experiencing conversation with them and being in the studio. When I went in the studio, I went into like the sound room, for example, and the lengths that they go to and how creative they are to make every element of the sound in this game is incredible. I also went to a PAX. This was years and years ago when I was on my honeymoon, actually, in Seattle. We went to PAX and we went to the Guild Wars 2. There's somebody, at least, the Guild Wars 2 devs, the people that work on the sound, they did like a panel and they showed us how they make all the sounds. Same thing, incredible. I then got to see the artists and the sculpting and like concept art and like all of those things. To me, it's very clear that these are people that care very much about the game, and that, like, look, I don't know what else to say. Like, it's very evident that these are talented, caring people.
Oh yeah. And I can only echo that. I obviously haven't had that experience actually going to the studio, of course. But every interaction with a dev I've had, going all the way back to HOT, by the way, guys, right? Like, from talking to Paul, who was kind of the lead designer on the raids in HOT, right? To Bobby Stein, I've had some really awesome interactions with him. To interacting with, the EOD developers, right? Like the people who created like Dragon's End on Twitter because they were watching us. It was like, man, they ooze passion, right? Like they absolutely ooze passion. Like I think anyone who's having to go at the devs is kind of a fool, to be honest. I think that they have some crazy energy and make some incredible stuff. But that's just, I think Guild Wars 2 is in like a really tough spot with its development because of the resources, and again because I think many developers are moving to this next project, so they have like limited resources to actually continue to make the game.
Well, does it really matter if the devs are talented or not? Either you're happy with the amount of content or you're not. Well, I think it's relevant to the conversation because what we're saying is that I don't think the entire dev team is like making bad content, if that makes sense. I think that my thought is that they have just a very small group of people that are trying to work on the expansion. They have a whole bunch of other people that are working on something else, because otherwise there's no way that many talented people would produce this.
I think what we're also trying to do, though, is have a responsible conversation, right? Because I think that because we're on a platform here, we've got in total about 450 people watching. I think it's important that we actually do contextualize what's going on here, no? Like, because it is relevant why things are potentially going, why things are rough.
I don't think it's fair to criticize something and
like flame the devs,
like
right?
why would we do that?
Yeah. So
it is irresponsible.
Yeah, for sure. We do not know that. There's conjecture. Well, I mean,
that's the point.
That's the point. Yes, but that's the thing.
We're trying to rationalize our position.
Yeah.
And I think it's a fair rationalization, personally. I don't know. To me, it's like very obvious that this, like when you look at Soto, I was not a fan of Soto, to be clear. I was not a fan of Soto. And then Janther Wilds came along. There was actually like one patch that I liked in Soto, I think, and then I liked the beginning of Janther Wilds. I still stand by that. I thought that Lowland Shores was one of the best maps they ever made. It was super fun.
Yeah.
But I think that the way these expansions have gone, it feels very clear to me that they're doing something else. And then when you couple that with all the other evidence we have, it feels like they're doing something else. And I think that the quality and quantity slips a little bit if you're working on something else. And I wouldn't even say, maybe slips isn't the right word. I think you have to sacrifice some quantity and quality if you're going to work on something else.
Well, I mean,
think
very
that's
clearly.
Just the reality.
I mean, very clearly. At the end of the day, like the quantity and the quality have both decreased with the new model. And I think, I think people have been saying, is it the new model? I think it kind of is and it isn't. I think it's the combination of having like a reduced workload and the new model. Because the new model is very specifically aimed at trying to maintain all areas of the game, right? And they're basically trying to do that with less developers, right? Than say when they were going all in on Guild Wars 2 during like, the HO. Because like the big golden age of Guild Wars 2 was HOT, Season 3, Path of Fire, Season 4, right? Like Season 4, it had its problems, especially if you weren't a story enjoyer, but like broadly speaking, that was the peak of the game, right? And the thing is, I think one of the reasons why they did a really good job with the story and the narrative design in Season 4 was because basically they pretty much ignored the rest of the game, right? Like they were like, yeah, PvP, what's that? World versus world? Never heard of it, right? And now that they're trying to maintain these things, they're essentially trying to do more with less, to an extent, right? And that's like going to lead to problems. And I actually, I have to say this before I'm derailing the conversation here a little bit. I just kind of want to draw a line here, guys. The reason why I'm trying to contextualize this and not blame the devs is because these are real people, and I think there's like, I don't think it's ever productive to like say, oh yeah, the devs are incompetent, right? Or like it's the developers like who are useless.
Yeah. I'll contextualize it more. Yeah, when it actually makes me mad when people say that, because I've met Roy and Awesomeness in real life, some of them multiple times. I've talked to devs like Chelsea, who does the legendary weapons. She comes in stream sometimes. She's in Lara's stream quite a bit. She's visited my stream before. I've met, and there's some of these devs that are actually like incognito, that don't say that they're a dev, that are in the streams, that have talked to me before, and they prefer to be like that because they don't want to draw attention to themselves. But I've spoken to lots of these people in real life, in private. These are good people. And when you say really, like, it's kind of like, imagine if somebody came up to you and just said you're shit at your job like every day. Like, that would be super annoying, especially if you were actually quite good at your job. And so I think it's unfair to blame the devs for stuff.
I just don't think it's productive. I think it's almost never the case that, oh yeah, like this the developer is actually just being incompetent. I think that's very uncommon for that to happen. I also just don't believe that's the case. I just completely echo what Sneb is saying here. Like, all of the interactions I've had with developers, they're always switched on. They know what the fuck's going on. And they're working on doing their best, right?
And we have to remember that this is a workplace. These people aren't like wizards or something. There's also some like work politics. Sometimes, like, I imagine, like, think about the conversations that we have and how there is just polarizing opinions about what should or shouldn't be added to the game, how certain things should go. Those same conversations happen in the boardroom at the ArenaNet office. I guarantee it, right? There's people on one side where they're saying, hey, we need to focus more on this. We need to patch these things, focus on these bugs. And then on the other side, they're saying, no, we need to do this. And they probably have to contend with one another on those decisions. And they have to make those decisions all the time. So no matter what they do, they're going to anger someone. It's never going to be perfect. But we can still say, look, this patch was not very good without shit-talking the devs. In fact, I'm trying to be really charitable to them, because I again, really just believe, based on all the evidence that we have, that it's not necessarily a dev thing. It's that I think they're working with, like, just like fewer bodies.
To put like an even more precise point on it, like, okay, it's not our job to determine if the devs are competent or not. That is something that should be handled obviously by the company on an individual basis, right? I think it's unproductive and just it's kind of poor taste, in my opinion, to go like, oh yeah, like this dev is just like worthless. They have no idea. I think that's just, I don't see how that like improves the conversation.
I don't even think people know like which devs work on what.
Yeah.
So it's just not really and like, I don't, right? I don't think Teapot knows every dev that works on every little thing. I think it's impossible to know. It's actually quite weird, because sometimes I meet devs and I'm like, what do you do? Right? I have no idea. And so I don't like saying the devs because it's just
Yeah.
such an all-encompassing, sweeping statement that has no directionality. Like, how can we really know what we're talking about? I think it's better when we say, I don't like. Here's a criticism I have. I think that Wing 8 is just not like there's something just not quite there about it, right? Like it on paper, I feel like it should be really good, but when I experience it, it's just not what I was hoping for with Wing 8. I don't think that means that people who worked on Wing 8 are bad people, but I think there was some kind of disconnect, and I'm not even really sure how to articulate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I don't know. I just don't like it when... I don't think it's a good conversation, guys, when people are like, you know, going berserk on the devs. Because honestly, I also think it derails the conversation. Because I feel like this conversation has now been derailed. Instead of talking about what's actually important stuff. For example, the thing I want to talk about next is actually, should ArenaNet say something about this? But like, we got derailed because I'm feeling like I have to defend like these real people who like work hard on the game, right? Like whether or not you like it, I think it's just, you know... It's not good, but like I want to talk about actual relevant things, like, you know.
I have a really strong opinion about this. Actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Should the devs? Let's talk about it. Let's just switch gears. Should the devs say something right now? I feel like, on one hand they should, but on the other hand, based on history, I don't know if it's a good idea. Because if they say anything, they kind of have to keep saying something.
Yeah.
Because, I actually want to know. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree with what I'm about to say. So hold your 1s.
Yeah.
I think that there was a time when they started to set a precedent that they were going to communicate with us more. And in that time, I became very hopeful. But then when they stopped, I am now more frustrated with them than I was before. Put a 1 if you agree with that.
See what people put.
Yeah. So here's the risk in conversing with us. If the devs start, you know, let's say they do kind of like community management similar to what RuneScape does, where they're like really engaged with the players. If they do that, they have to sustain it.
Yeah.
They have to. This doesn't mean that it needs to be this like constant faster and faster treadmill where they have to do more and more and more. But if they do something, they need to keep doing it. They can't just do it once and then stop and go completely radio silent, because I think it actually makes the problem far worse, and I don't want to see that happen. So on one hand, I think the right thing to do would be to acknowledge some of the problems, which they did. Here's the other issue: is they did that with Soto, but then they didn't really act. Again, my perception, it feels like maybe they tried to act on it, but it didn't really work out. So now you've got this problem where they're kind of saying one thing, but they're not really kind of, you know, maybe following through to the extent that the players were hoping for.
Yeah.
So it's like, does the conversation with the players make it better or worse? How PR is it, right? When I read the PR statements, I don't really get anything out of it. I just wish that, like, I saw the devs on social media more, like, responding to players, and not in like a corpo way. Because I don't know what it is, but that really turns me off. I think it's because I view Guild Wars 2 as like a piece of art.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of the art. And so when I hear people treating it like a business and not like art, I just find it kind of frustrating. So I would rather see like a community management team just talk to players like they're players too, but in like a still semi-professional way, if that makes sense. Like the tone and what you say, how you say it, it's like so important. It's so important. I just hate hearing the corpa. I don't want to hear the corpa.
Do you not think, though, that the reason why this is a problem is because of the elephant in the room? Like, and correct me, and chat, correct me if I'm wrong on this, and Sneb do so as well. I feel like a really big cause of frustration and lack of trust in the company is because the new model for Guild Wars 2 was presented to us in good faith. I'm not saying they were lying here, guys, or anything like that, to be clear. It was very much presented as like, yep, we're refocusing, we're making it more financially sustainable, we're going to be bringing you that quality content, that Guild Wars 2 experience. Like, it was presented to me like Guild Wars 2 is back. And 2 expansions deep, it's very clear to me, and I think everyone, if I'm being real, that is not the case. And I will admit, they haven't been helped by the NC leak with Guild Wars 3. That's really not... That fucked them. And honestly, that was a huge, horrible thing that happened with that NCSoft shareholder meeting. That it basically confirmed that ArenaNet is cooking some other stuff up, potentially Guild Wars 3. But I actually think even if that leak hadn't happened, I think we'd actually still be in a similar situation. I think people would still be not feeling a lot of trust towards the studio because the way things are presented and how they actually end up going, there seems to be a disconnect there, and I think it's really eroded community trust because you're definitely saying some things that I really agree with, right? That we'd love to see that non-corporate, that kind of on the ground, in the direct communication from the devs. But my question is, I don't think that would honestly even be effective or work very well until we actually understand the state of play. In my mind, the problem with Guild Wars 2 right now and the community relations is the uncertainty. And I personally feel this a lot actually with Guild Wars 2. Where are we? What are we doing?
Nobody's talking.
What's the plan for Guild Wars 2? How does it fit in with these other projects? I genuinely feel like, and maybe I'm just dumb, maybe I'm not paying attention, maybe you guys get this and I don't, but I feel like I genuinely do not understand the state of play with Guild Wars 2. Where are we at with this? Where are we going? I have no idea. And I feel like a lot of the statements have not ended up kind of comporting with how things have actually gone with the framing, and I just don't know what's going on. And as a result of that, a lot of the... I'm with you on this. That's why, for me, a lot of these studio updates, I don't really know how to interpret them. I just wait to see what happens,
Yeah. Yeah, I actually think, going back and analyzing the original restructuring news feed, that would actually be quite interesting. Because I remember reading it and going hell yeah, brother, there's gonna be an Xbox every year. That's sick. Take my money. But now... okay, here's a very interesting consumer behavior thing. I'll talk about my behavior as a Guild Wars fan, how I engage with the game, and how I purchase and how it's changed. Now, I can't extrapolate this to everyone because that wouldn't make sense. I'll just tell you my personal habits. I generally buy gems when there's something like Giga on sale that I really wanted, like a character slot or something. Or I was just really enjoying the game and playing it a lot. I just stopped buying gems, around Soto, right? That was me, right? I'm not saying that everyone probably did that, but I stopped buying the gems. And also, I used to buy 3 versions of every expansion, at least. One for my EU account, one for my main, and then I would have another alt or something. I stopped doing that with Soto as well. So the way that I engage with the game is I used to raid on 4 accounts.
Yeah.
Now I barely raid on 1. Now my IRL circumstances may have changed a little bit, whatever. So there's other reasons for this. But I also think this happened to a lot of people. I feel like the way that people engage with purchasing things in the game has changed a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. And I think it has a lot to do with how the expansions have been. When I think about it, I tried playing. Oh my gosh! Again, I'm just being very honest as a fan of the game. But when I played Wing 8, keep in mind I have a shout out in Wing 8. So
he's a slug.
Yeah. So it's tough here. But I played Wing 8 on stream the other day, and when I turned off the stream, I was just really disappointed. And I think part of it was because I got really frustrated on stream because I was doing Wing 8 and I'm I should love this, but it just wasn't it, right? I had the same problem that I'd had for literally years, but it was even worse, which was you go to do the wing, a bunch of people in the wing don't know how to do it, so you have to train every single time you do it.
Yeah.
So it just happened again, right? And I look at that and I go, there are these looming problems that have haunted the game forever that everyone has talked about into oblivion, that we talked about on podcasts for weeks and weeks and weeks, hundreds of hours of us talking about this stuff. And then I just go, well, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. I think that's really important what you just brought up there. It's that we've been here, and I think one of the reasons why, it's been linked to me now, like the studio update, the reason why this kind of stuff hasn't hit, we've put renewed emphasis on developing Guild Wars 2 with player-centric approach.
Player-centric approach,
yeah. The conclusion, like having the development bandwidth needed to iterate on core systems is especially important to us. Like, we've been hearing about this sort of thing for such a long time. Like, do you guys not remember? It's basically a meme in the community how many times ArenaNet has said something like, we're restructuring our internal development process, right? So we can deliver more content. We've heard this so many times. It's really, really difficult, I think, for the especially veteran Guild Wars 2 players to actually trust what the studio is saying. And I think that's a big kind of part of why there's kind of this panic and uncertainty now, is because I feel like people are feeling like they're watching history repeat itself in front of them. Especially because, of course, guys, like a big reason why why Guild Wars 2 had its initial kind of like scary moment in Living World Season 4 was because of literally the same thing. Like, they were working on other projects that eventually ended up getting cancelled, of course, and then like NC like made them do EOD, right? After that. Like, so there's so much context behind why people feel this way, especially more veteran players. It's because people just think it's happening again. Like, it's happening again. I cannot believe this, right? And I don't know, actually. Like, you're the expert. How do you fix this, right, from a communications perspective? Like, what could they possibly say? I think one of the reasons why they haven't said something is because I don't, and I freely admit this, guys, as the literal armchair critic. I'm in an armchair right now. How on earth do they unravel this mess?
When you say that, what do you mean? Do you mean specifically with Jan Through Wilds, or like sort of the
grand context? Like,
grand context, the last couple of years of the expansion?
Yeah, and like where the studio's going.
Okay, this is just my opinion, but
Yeah.
I mean, actually bring up the thing again. Let's
go through it.
We need this for context here, right?
Okay, where do you want to go?
Well, it said defining the problem. Okay, this is important because this is essentially what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because when I read this, I remember reading this and going, huh, they get it, right? And I felt like they had an understanding of how I felt as a player. So I'll just read this quick. Since 2021, we put a renewed emphasis on developing Guild Wars 2 with a player-centric approach, where step one in our development process is seek out and understand the problems and frustrations that MMO players face. This approach was first adopted at Arena over 20 years ago as the core of continued success of the Guild Wars franchise. The conclusion of the Elder Dragon Saga, a story over the course of a decade, was an opportunity for our team to reflect on our past before moving forward. This was very good, right? Because there were a few problems with EOD, right? But anyway, we evaluated that what has and hasn't worked over the years and used those insights to redefine how we develop and release content for our players. Our goals for the next phase of Guild Wars 2 are simple. We want to deliver content updates in a more timely and consistent manner. We want to provide better support for the wide variety of systems and game modes that make up the Guild Wars 2 experience. Having the development bandwidth needed to iterate on core systems is especially important to us, and it's something we've been making headway on over the last year with our quality of life improvement initiative. There are so many systems in Guild Wars 2 that have good bones, and they can be even better with just a bit of love. Okay. When I read that, I went, holy crap, they get it, right?
Yeah.
There are so many systems that if they just fixed, that the game would be so much better off. But from the perspective of somebody like me, that was like raid rewards. That was the like LFG and like getting people to group up, and they touched on some of these things, right? Like when they made the queue system, that was a massive improvement, and I celebrated that so much, thinking, hey, maybe they're gonna keep going with this, right? But then, instead of fixing these systems and continuing that, they've dabbled in it, right? Like we even got a quality of life patch just recently, right? And those are good things. But there are core systems, like how you find a group, how you engage with groups, how you can decide if somebody's playing quickness or alacrity or not. These are fundamental things that are very, I think that in other MMOs, they're like pretty ingrained in the systems. Like you should be able to tell who's playing what. You should be able to see what gear somebody has on, or like their stats, or some indication of like what they're doing, so that you can team up and be better.
Yeah, and
Without solving some of these systems, nothing else, like everything else, kind of has unraveled to me. Like everything else has kind of crumbled because when they release this new content, it's like, okay, well, you haven't fixed the core systems and problems that people are having, and so these expansion models feel very hollow because the repeatable content, like who do you play with? Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of rambling, but I think it's really difficult to fix this right now because that message made me feel like they understood, but then the product has made me feel like I'm not so sure if they understand, or maybe they understand but aren't able to do it. And because we haven't really had much chatter from the dev team, at least that's my perception, I think that anything they say now, I feel like it's going to be really difficult to fix. They have to say something and then follow up on it.
Yeah.
If you can't do that, then you have to say nothing.
Yeah. And I think ultimately that's kind of what they've been doing, right?
Yeah, that's
they've
the
been
scary
going
part.
with, and I actually don't blame them for that because I think this is an absolute nightmare to navigate. And because, look, I'm gonna keep coming back to this, man, but I really think this huge elephant in the room is Guild Wars 3 right now. Like, what do you think they should? I think they should handle that. Do you think they should say something? Do they have to say that this is like coming?
I think we're in a period of time where they basically, in the next couple of months, they have to say something about something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It can be the next expansion. It could be whatever unannounced project they're working on. They need to give players a new reason to have some like hope and encouragement in the game. They have to communicate. But I would actually say that right now, if they communicate right now, I actually think it would make it worse because I don't think that they can follow up on much right now, especially if they're working on the next expansion. Like they could come out and say, "Oh, we're going to fix a bunch of stuff in the next expansion," but what would that really do, right? I think that the next time they talk to us, they have to tell us that they're fixing some stuff and make it really concrete how, and then announce something cool.
Yeah. Well, I think, the other thing, though, is that it's what's really difficult is that what are they supposed to say, right? Like, should Grouch have said in this studio update, like, yeah, we're at a late stage in the game's life cycle at this point. It's not realistic that we're going to do major overhauls, but we're going to tinker and add content the best we can, because that's what happened, right? Let's be honest, that would be a more accurate description of what's happened. So I actually have a lot of sympathy for ArenaNet trying to present it this way. It's big, it's bold, like we're making big changes, and that didn't happen, right? But like, is it viable from a PR perspective to actually essentially describe it as it is and say like, yeah, we're here. We've got a team working on this. We're going to make the game better for you in small ways. We're going to keep the content coming, right? And you are going to be seeing expansions and additional content, maybe on a smaller scale to, compared to HD Part of it. But like, can you actually be that explicit with that? Because like, surely, I can understand why they would never want to say that. Because like, surely you can't say that, right?
Yeah, interesting point brought up in the chat. Is that the moral thing to do? Maybe, but the problem is that I don't think they would ever be able to come out and say, "Yeah, we're gonna make less content." Right? Like, I don't think they're gonna do that. I think they're always gonna try to hype it up a little bit because that's marketing. You want people to get excited. It's tricky though because eventually, and I think
you're gonna have to come clean, right?
Yeah,
they have to
I
at
think,
some point. Yeah,
I think we have a big problem right now because I think the numbers tell us a story. The numbers with Soto, people
well, hopeful,
people bought in, right?
100%.
The numbers post Soto, people are skeptical now. They're like, I wasn't having fun with that, right? Yeah. They don't trust it as much, and I think Asmongold actually said this recently, which Asmongold's not always right about every take, but I agreed with this. He was saying that you often see a bit of you often see the effects an expansion or two later.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're going to see. EOD, I thought was quite good. It had its problems, but it was quite good, and I was pretty happy with it overall. Soto, I did not like it very much. And then Jam Through Wilds, I liked it at the beginning, but then after, it hasn't been so great for me specifically. So now I'm at a point where I'm like, like, What could they do to win me over in the next one, right? How much do I trust it? And I'm a big fan, and I think many of us in the chat are big fans. And so I think it takes a lot for us to question if we're going to buy the next expansion or not. I think out of habit, we'll almost buy it. For the more casual players, if they didn't have a good experience, they're not buying it. They're not buying it. So then what? I think that's what we're seeing with the Janther Wilds. Money, what was that? The like little report, the shareholder report or whatever that came out. I forget what it was. But,
yeah, like the quarterly earnings.
Yeah, the quarterly earnings. Yeah, I think that's what we saw there. And I'd be curious to see how the next quarter does. I think it'll be worse. Personally.
It definitely could be tough. And I think looking at X-Pack sales will be interesting as well. I'm hoping they do have something big. Like, my guess would be they might do Elite Specs again. And I think that would honestly really help with sales, to be honest. And this is where I think Guild Wars 3 honestly could really help. Because, okay, and this is like, this is a bit of copium here. Because let's assume that Guild Wars 3 is actually like pretty far along in development at this stage. So like, my theory would be they probably started developing Guild Wars 3 or like, you know, sorting it out during that Path of Fire, that initial Path of Fire nuke era, where the game was on the back burner. And then they probably picked it up kind of at the end of EOD. Or that would be like my slightly copium-filled guess. So let's assume that Guild Wars 3 is relatively far along in development. Like, if the next X-Pack is the Hall of Monuments X-Pack, and they say, oh yeah, by the way, there's going to be loads of content and achievements that will, you know, kind of give you, like, skins and stuff in the next game, I thought that could actually be really positive, no? Like, because that's going to get people engaged with Guild Wars 2. They'll be in Guild Wars 2 buying the expansion, buying gems and stuff, like, you know, completing all the content, all that kind of stuff. I feel like that could actually play if they went that direction. Like, I think they could do that. And it could be, as opposed to, like, a negative thing for the game, it could be a positive for the game. Because do you remember, like, Season of the Dragons? Season of the Dragons, I felt like, was a little bit like this. Even though it was literally zero content, because it was, like, a bunch of activities that people could do, and it kind of got people engaged with the game, I feel like it was really positive.
Yeah. What do I have to say about that? I agree with you. Like, I think that was really positive.
Yeah.
They're doing that now, though, but in, like, micro levels, right? They did like the return to End of Dragons, and they've done those. I think those are still popular, but I don't know if they're as popular. I have no idea. Obviously, I don't have the data, but I just know for myself that I haven't engaged in a lot of them at all. Yeah. And I don't really have a good reason for why, but I just would be curious if I think it certainly attracts players to go back to that old content and stuff, but I don't know if it's more or less effective than it used to be.
Yeah. Not the return. I think they're pretty cool, actually. I mean, look, personally, the reason I think they're doing return to events, by the way, and why this is happening, and why they're putting a focus on kind of like weekly stuff, like bi-weekly stuff, is, look, I'm going to be real with you guys. I will give you my full transparent take on this. I believe they're trying to make Guild Wars 2 as automated as possible in preparation for Guild Wars 3. And if the population does dip, then that of course means that open world events won't fire quite as effectively as before. So I think it's really, really important for them that they have systems in place, like automated events that will basically funnel players around the world so that that content is accessible. And will remain being accessible afterwards. I think that's also a big motivation behind world restructuring, because it's completely automated. The tournament stuff in PvP, it's completely automated. The event stuff, completely automated. Like, all that stuff just kind of like does its own thing and essentially just like, you know, ticks over. And I think that's a huge part of their motivation right now, like, is essentially getting the game to be like maintainable so they can like maintain the game as well as possible. Like, I genuinely would not be surprised at all to hear something about Guild Wars 3 this year. I'm not saying that's like likely. I'm not saying that's like guaranteed or anything, guys, but it wouldn't be a surprise. Like, if ArenaNet actually announce the Guild Wars 3 pretty soon after they announce the next X-Pack, or after the X-Pack drops, that wouldn't be a surprise to me. I would not be surprised by that.
I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat. I believe that they've been working on this unannounced project since like EOD, basically.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then
I
think it's cooking, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's probably, it's getting pretty far along. If I had to guess, I would say we have 1 or 2 more X-Packs for Guild Wars 2, and then it's unannounced project.
Yeah.
Right? Now, does that mean that Guild Wars 2 completely stops? I don't know. I have no idea. But I look at this and I go, there's no way that this can go on like this forever.
No way. It can't, yeah. It just can't. Like, unless they obviously, like, massively improve the quantity and the quality, it's not going to cut it, to be honest. Well, that's the thing. It's not going to cut it with the current context. Like, for example, I know this is going to sound weird, but do you not think that if there was transparency on this, people would be like, okay, I can make my peace with that? Because I feel like right now, the reason there's so much anxiety and negativity around the game is because people's expectations are not being met, right? But if those expectations are kind of a bit more grounded, I feel like it becomes way less problematic. Like, for example, if there is this, like, if Guild Wars 3 exists, I think people will kind of realize that, oh, this is not their main game anymore. Like, they're working on Guild Wars 3 now. Like, Guild Wars 3 is, like, the main project, but we're still keeping Guild Wars 2 kind of ticking over. We're adding a bit of new content. We're adding quality of life. Because right now, I feel like people's expectations are very, very high. People are expecting, unironically, we're going back to EOD. We're going back to HOT. Right? We're having the resurgence. Because, and you know what? Also, I think people look at other games, and they watch them recover and go, why can't we have that? Like, for example, of course, World of Warcraft had a super rough period, right? Where people were mass exodusing over to Final Fantasy, right? During the battle, particularly Shadowlands, but a little bit in BFA as well. But guess what? The game recovered, right? They listened to the players, and they made massive changes to the game, and they got Dragonflight. And then they got The War Within. And it's like a very consistent upward trend of kind of listening to player feedback and kind of improving and making changes to the game based on that, right? Of course, the same thing happened in Final Fantasy, right? Like, the original Final Fantasy was rough as fuck, right? It really did not go how people wanted it, right? It was not that good. But the game had its, like, massive redemption arc. Like, and Guild Wars 2 did as well, by the way, to an extent, because EOD existed. Like, people thought that it was over, right? We went from Icebrewed Saga to EOD, and that's what people are kind of hoping is happening. But in a way, if ArenaNet, like, very explicitly say, yeah, guys, that ain't happening, we're not going back, we're not going for that, like, Guild Wars 3 is our focus here, and ultimately Guild Wars 2 is going to be something that we're going to keep going, we're going to have a couple of devs on it, but it's not going to be, like, a major development project for us. I almost feel like the game will find its audience there, and people will kind of make their peace with it, and people will continue to enjoy the game basically forever. Like, under that situation. But the problem is, right now, is that people are expecting EOD or, like, this resurgence, and I just don't believe that's on the cards whatsoever.
Yeah. I don't know if I 100% agree.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah?
Well,
what do you disagree with? Because I spoke for, like, 15 years.
Yeah, there's one specific piece.
Yeah.
I don't think if they were like, oh, yeah, this is where the game is at. And this is like, I don't think if they lowered people's expectations that people would just magically come to peace with it and be okay.
Yeah.
I think they'd go find something that's more hype and just do that, right? I think you naturally have to be a bit hype about the game. And that's why pretty much you never see anything like super negative. The most negative thing you'll see is like when they said, hey, we know we made a bunch of mistakes and this is how we're moving forward. But it's very PR speak, right? I don't know. Look, here's the truth. Here's how you revitalize Guild Wars 2 in an instant.
Oh, yeah? Instantly?
Instantly.
Yep.
You announce a Guild Wars 3, and then you say there is Giga Hall of Monuments.
Yep.
And it's in every part of the game. Here is an infestation of achievements that will transfer to the next game. And many are gameplay focused, some require materials. The game would explode.
Yeah.
And nobody can disagree with that. The game would explode because people would be anticipating the next game.
Yeah. No, yeah. And also, I think it would get people engaged with the brand.
Yeah.
Right? Because,
exactly.
Look, guys, Mima, like it or not, ArenaNet is a major studio. This is an important game company. If ArenaNet dropped an announcement, that's actually big news, right? That's actually like a thing that people will pay attention to. I think it would 100% get people engaged with just the brand, Guild Wars in general, and absolutely with Guild Wars 2. Like, I think it would get a lot of new players to go like, oh, what's this about? Right, like, oh, Guild Wars 3 is coming? Like, I might try Guild Wars 2. I actually do think that, yeah, like, if they play their cards right here, I do really believe this. I think Sneb's absolutely right here. Is that they can have like a really bit of good positive marketing, get a lot of like new eyes and like new people paying attention to the brand.
And here's where some people be like, well, that's just the death of Guild Wars 2. But in a sense, no, that's the longevity of Guild Wars 2, because what you're doing is you're guaranteeing that people will always have a reason to come and play, because if they bring out something new that has a tie with the old one, just like Guild Wars 1, people still have a reason to go back and try Guild Wars 1 because of the Hall of Monuments in Guild Wars 2. So if that's the case for Guild Wars 3, if that exists, then people will play. I don't view it as a manipulation, because manipulation sort of implies that there's some sort of like malicious intent, or that, you know what I mean? That they're just saying, look, like, we're making this other thing and we're adding a bunch of stuff in this game that feeds into the other one. And I don't feel like people viewed that as manipulation for Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2. I remember when that happened, by the way. I was so hype. Yeah. I was just charging ahead, trying to get 50 out of 50. And it was like a big deal when you got it. So I think that's the way. Like, if it were me, and again, we don't know for sure that it's Guild Wars 3, but based on the shareholder meeting, it certainly seems like it, right? So if it is Guild Wars 3, and it is coming out in the next 1 to 2 years, and there's one that would also maybe suggest that there's like 2 expansions left, maybe. Here's what I do: if it's 1 expansion left, then what I do is when I announce the next expansion, I also announce the unannounced project, or at least like close proximity to each other. And then in one of the patches of the next expansion, I release the HOM.
Yes.
The Hall of Monuments then comes out, and the Hall of Monuments is essentially content that will carry for a long time into whenever the unannounced project comes out. To me, this is like the most logical marketing move, because everyone will forget this. You're all going to hate on me for saying this, but everyone will forget every flaw that Guild Wars 2 has, and they will only focus on whatever big achievements and stuff there are that will get them the Hall of Monuments. That's what they will focus on, and they'll be happy to do so because they'll just be talking about the next game.
Yeah.
And people might view that as like a betrayal or whatever, but that is the correct PR marketing move. It is, with absolution.
It's the reality of the situation, guys. They're gonna have to do it. And yeah, I totally agree. I think that doing that will be really, really interesting. And kind of on the comment about, like, it works with Guild Wars 1 because of heroes, but not in Guild Wars 2. Yeah, why do you think they've put so much effort onto making these automated events that direct players around? PvP Rush, World versus World Rush, World versus World restructuring, so the system is just entirely automated, like with an algorithm. All this kind of stuff. Like, why do you think they've done that? Like, very, very simple. What about the seasonal model? The fact that the game has become seasonal is huge. Because, look, guys, they aren't... Look, just to clarify here, I don't believe they'll ever fully drop Guild Wars 2. In fact, there's no way they would ever do that. Like, this product is very successful. Like, it's an MMO that is still generating, like, millions of dollars in revenue. They are never dropping this game. But what they can do is essentially create systems and structures in such a way that they can like maintain it and still essentially keep it alive with a lower development budget and a small development team. And I think that's their goal, though, with a lot of this automation style stuff and this event style stuff and the seasonal approach of the new model. Because if they still make updates, which I believe they will, I think they will continue to release updates for the game. I'd be really surprised if they weren't. Yeah, yo, Roy, you should definitely get involved in this conversation, dude. We're talking about Guild Wars 3, okay? You know that thing that, you know that thing that you can definitely talk about? Yeah, we're talking about that right now. Okay, tell us about the Gatherer. Are there Gatherer nodes in Guild Wars 3, bro? Are we doing that too?
Roy, I have a different question. Roy, if you're serious, I'll buy the plane ticket. I'll go to Seattle, even though my country advises against going to the United States for reasons.
Oh wait. What were you serious? What was he serious about?
Oh, I was jokingly said, Roy, if you let me stay at your house, I'll I'll fly to Seattle again.
Okay. Well, there
However,
you go,
the problem though is that if I go to Roy's house again, I might have another child. Who knows? Because you remember the last time I went to Roy's house?
Yeah.
My kid was born while I was there.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, then that was quite the chaotic situation for sure.
Oh, yeah, that probably sounded weird. But no, guys, for context, like 3 years ago, my wife was 8 months pregnant, and she was like, you have to go to PAX. You have to go. And I was like, I don't think I should go. You might give birth. And she was like, no, like, you're so passionate about this. She's a great companion. But she was like, you have to go. And so I stayed with Roy. And while I was there, my second daughter, Willow, was born. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are the odds? And there's nothing we could do, right? Like, we then drove all night, and I got home and everything. But yeah, it was a crazy experience. Honestly, one of the strangest experiences ever, because when I had my first daughter, I was in the hospital with my wife, and I was like the first one to hold her and everything. But my second daughter, I just parked my car in the driveway, walked in, and my wife was like, meet Willow. I was like,
Hell
oh my
yeah.
gosh. So I was a little late to the party, but I still made it.
Yeah.
So that's what I was referring to.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And yeah, guys, to be clear, if this happens, if we are going Guild Wars 3, which I think is honestly likely at this stage, I want to be clear. Yeah, development would obviously slow down. I'm not saying they could maintain the game at its current level of aliveness indefinitely. I imagine that Guild Wars 3 will be like their main, it's going to be like their big project that they're going to go. But I just don't think there's no reason for them to shut down Guild Wars 2. And the reason I also think that this is pretty likely that they'll keep going is because there was this live stream, right? I know this is like a very, very off-the-cuff remark. It was on an Extra Life stream. And yeah, it was Colin. I think Colin said, it's like, yeah, I think if we could go back in time, right, we would... we wouldn't just like completely abandon Guild Wars 1.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I think my strategy is pretty good.
Yeah.
I really do. I think if they don't do that, I'll actually be kind of surprised, because to me that makes the most logical sense, what I explained before. So
yeah.
we'll see what they end up doing. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. We will absolutely see. It's a massive risk to anything new. I think it's a risk. It is definitely a risk, and this is something that is a little bit spooky. But I mean, look, if Guild Wars 3 doesn't work out, that's pretty bad.
People always act like it's this massive risk, but we have to keep in mind something very important. The risk is mitigated by the brand. If it wasn't, if it's not Guild Wars 2, it is a massive risk. If it is Guild Wars 2 or Guild Wars 3, did I say Guild Wars 2? If it is a Guild Wars 3, then the brand carries this forward, right? Like, people who have played or play Guild Wars 2 will at minimum check out Guild Wars 3.
Yeah.
You could argue it was a massive risk to do Guild Wars 2 when they had Guild Wars 1 so established.
Yeah.
And it was, but again, the brand carries it.
It's funny actually, because I think New World was kind of a bit of a fail, right?
Okay, pause for a second.
Oh, okay.
This is getting annoying.
Okay.
The Rebeza AOM.
Oh shit! Sneb's activated.
You keep
He's
calling
activated.
out as like a bad business model, but look, I'm just gonna tell you. Yes, past behavior does help predict the future to some extent. That's literally this, like, Guild Wars 1, Guild Wars 2, Guild Wars 3. Yes, it's past behavior, of course. It makes perfect sense, though. They did this exact thing with Guild Wars 1 to Guild Wars 2. I think they could do it with Guild Wars 2 to Guild Wars 3.
Yeah.
Also, they said something earlier, too, that I can't remember what it was now, but I was going to address that.
Wait,
Click the name.
guy?
Click the name, yes.
So, yeah, you want it? Chat log? Okay,
Let me see.
let's drop the bomb.
Oh, ArenaNet have employed a psychologist. I wonder what they are used for. They hire consumer psychologists oftentimes, and the reason they do this is to analyze player behavior, or well, look, I'm gonna tell you, a lot of companies. And to be clear, I don't know if Guild Wars is doing this, or ArenaNet's doing this rather, but a lot of companies hire consumer psychology people like me, because they want to take advantage of exploiting people's like gambling behaviors. I'm not saying that's what Guild Wars is doing, but like, a lot of companies do hire consumer psychologists to get people like really hooked on like the exciting parts of the game and like how they can keep players
and also
engaged.
how to like interpret data, I imagine, right? Like identify like spending patterns and stuff, like and understand like how to analyze that information. Yeah.
By the way, look, I'm one of the good guys. I'm literally going to a conference in 3 days where I'm talking about actually sports betting. and influencers and stuff. So, worry not. Well, that one's actually less about influencers. I'm talking more about like consumer psychology and identity as it relates to sports betting. So how people connect with their teams and what that means for fan identity. But anyway, that's another story. But I'm one of the good guys. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah, and to be clear, guys, they're obviously not planning on making Guild Wars 3 fail. Like, Sneb's just saying that, like, it won't utterly apocalypse the studio if it doesn't quite work out as well. And kind of the New World point I was bringing up, I actually think, guys, that New World probably actually paid for its development budget. That's why it's alive. I wouldn't be surprised if New World, even to this day, is actually still profitable. Like, purely because of how many copies they sold initially. And bear in mind, guys, Guild Wars 2 is not a sub-fee-oriented game, so the same thing could happen. Like, even if Guild Wars 2 maybe doesn't, like, have a crazy giga population, long-term, just, like, the box prices alone is probably gonna, like, essentially pay for itself. Because it's gonna be, look, it's gonna be a major launch, guys. I know that people are memeing on Guild Wars 2, but it's actually funny, guys. That is exactly why they want to do Guild Wars 3. Like, because you guys are in the chat saying, oh yeah, Omega Lol, ArenaNet, Omega Lol, Hyper Lol, Giga Lol, Omega Lol. Yeah, that's why they want to do a new game. It's because they're aware that the game does have some problems with marketing. For sure,
well,
and kind of like how people perceive it. Oh yeah,
I think that the game. I think you're absolutely right. By the way, I think the game
Yeah.
does have a certain perception at this point and whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that a sequel cannot necessarily. It's interesting because when you go and do sort of like brand extension, right, toward a sequel, it's you carry some of the weight of old with the brand, but you also give yourself an opportunity for new.
Yeah.
So they can't like completely get rid of. It's not a blank slate like a new title would be to some extent, but you still are lent some leniency because it's a new game.
Yeah.
Because Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2 are completely different games, right? And they have very different perceptions. And I think that they'll have something like that with a Guild Wars 3. So that makes it very interesting, me at least.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I know. Honestly, this is new technology, right?
Yeah.
There's new MMOs are rare. If you think about the current MMOs that are really successful, they're old as fuck, right? They're running on very old technology. And ArenaNet is a company that has historically innovated. So I am really interested to see what they come up with, right? Like if they have the ability to use basically the most modern and interesting technology, and they're a company that does like to do new things and come up with new ideas. So yeah, it's like inherently like a very, very interesting idea to me.
Put a 1 if you like
releasing
quickness and alacrity.
No, we're not doing
perma
that.
stability again.
We're
in
not
Guild Wars
doing that
3.
again.
Put a 1. Put a 2 if you'd rather eat your own fist or something.
We are not doing that ever again. But yeah. But I mean, yeah, it's definitely high risk, high reward. I definitely wouldn't have predicted. I would not have predicted Guild Wars 3 for sure until recent pieces of evidence have kind of like made me believe this, right? Or like given me reason to believe this. Because I would say that, yeah, the safest bet is like going all in on Guild Wars 2 and basically trying to replicate EOD, which I believe is doable, by the way. I think that was an option they could have gone for. Why they decided to go a different direction, I think I do understand as well. But it's definitely the riskier option, which honestly, I respect it, man. Like, I love to see a little bit of spice. Like, I think one of the biggest criticisms of the modern games industry is that a lot of studios play it safe. I feel like it's, similar with movies, really, is that, yeah, oh, wow, I can't wait to play, like, the next re-release of the seventh re-release of this game. Wow, I'm hyped for that, right? Or like, oh yeah, we're remaking a movie? Oh, how daring. Yeah, like, I think, this kind of stuff is a little bit boring. To an extent. So yeah, like trying something new and making something as opposed to remaking something, I think it's pretty hype. It will be less stale. Very, very cool. One thing that I also do want to bring up, I think you'll have some strong opinions on this as well, is that do you think there need to be some changes in kind of company culture to basically handle Guild Wars 3? Because I kind of feel there is. With community management, I feel like we still haven't got there yet.
I don't know if I'd say company culture, but I think I would say communication, community management. I don't know if maybe that's at least partially with company culture, but when I think about company culture, I think of that more as an internal thing that has maybe some consequences for external perception. But I I think it's difficult because we can't really speak to the internal culture. So it's like, can you name one person that works in HR at ArenaNet? I can't, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's kind of hard to like look at that. However, I would say that community management is a big problem. Well, I guess it depends on your perspective. For me, when I compare Guild Wars 2's community management to other games that I have played or do play or at least observe, I go, this is kind of weird, right? Like, I always bring up this example, but old school RuneScape is just like, wow, right? Like their community management to me is some of the best in the industry. There you go. The best in the industry. Now, like right now, they're going through like a pretty nightmarish thing, and I don't really know how they're responding to that, so we'll see how it goes. But in the past, they've been pretty good at handling things and communicating where needed. Sometimes they let it cool off a bit, and then they communicate. They're just really good at like being present with the players. That's my perception.
Yeah. And it's something that I would really like to see, actually. And they do need to have a really strong plan going into it. I feel like if you're going to launch a new MMO in current year, you almost need to launch your MMO with the next expansion almost like ready to go. Like, oh yeah, in a year, we're dropping the next X-Pack. Here we go. And that's what needs to happen at this stage. But yeah. Where'd you get to in Guild Wars 1? I'm level 10. I have to go talk to General
Wait,
Morgan.
did you die?
No, Jester did. Jester died.
Oh.
Wow. We're playing Nightfall characters right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, when do you think Guild Wars 3 might be launched realistically? I think if you're absolutely, like, injecting the copium direct into your veins, I'd say it will be after the next Guild Wars 2 expansion. It's hard. There'll probably be a gap, but I don't think that's actually outside the realm of possibility. Like, I think it could be 2027. Could be the Guild Wars 3 release. It could be 2027 or 2028, for sure. Wouldn't be that surprising to me. I think the next... Oh, guys, holy shit. Stay tuned for July. Let me tell you this. This is a big deal. And I actually have to give credit to this, because Apehawk pointed this out to me. Who was the Twitch chatter. Twitch chat is very high intelligence. Yeah. I'm sure you're aware of this. They're very smart.
Put a forehead if you have an IQ that's at least above 3.
And he pointed out that they confirmed Janthea Wilds very, very early, that there was another expansion after Soto coming. And I think it's actually very noticeable that they haven't done that. Like, we know there's an expansion coming in October, but we don't know if there's another one after that. And I think if when they drop the next studio update, which is probably going to be in July, right? Mm-hmm. With the expansion, if they don't mention another expansion, so not the expansion after the one coming in October, that is like the smoking gun right there. That is them saying, "Holy shit, that's the last Guild Wars 2 expansion. We are now going into Guild Wars 3, and you're going to be seeing Guild Wars 3." Is going to be the next thing. Yeah. And this is why I almost feel like they kind of do have to talk about their upcoming project a little bit, because there are some things that they would not say that would actually be saying a lot, right? Because if they don't confirm another Guild Wars 2 expansion in the next studio update, okay, people are going to put 2 and 2 together, right? People are not stupid. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's going to happen.
Yes. I knew Guild Wars 3 was coming when I found out Guild Wars 2 was 30k. Oh, okay, look. This conversation is like very triggering to me. We're not doing this again, okay? But like, okay, listen, Bezalm, okay?
A lot of people.
This guy was saying that only having like 30,000 people logged into your game at the same time is like a small amount.
Doesn't that put you in like the top 1% of games?
I mean, I think
maybe
even
top 5
on Steam that would put you in like. Actually, we can go check now, but that's huge. Like if you have like 30k people logged into your game at the same time, that is absolutely massive. So if we look here, if you have 30,000 people playing your game at the same time, that's basically top 40 on Steam. That's insane.
Yeah, that's very, very good.
That's like a massive amount of players playing, for sure. And obviously we don't know like how many people are logged into Guild Wars 2 at any given time, but
that means you're a top 1% game, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, big time. Compared to the highest game, yeah, but I mean, compared to the but you know, the highest games are like crazy, like League of Legends and Fortnite. And stuff. Those
what are
games
we
are
doing
huge.
here? Why are we comparing this to like the biggest game?
Yeah.
Like why? Like what?
Yeah.
What is the purpose of this?
Yeah, it's useless.
Who
right?
cares?
It's
How is that even relevant?
what's relevant is the game fun? Is the game fun to play? Right, that doesn't matter really. And is the game playable? Does it have enough play?
Because suggesting that implies that you like only want to play the most popular game or something.
Yeah.
Like I'm not really sure I'm following the argumentation.
But I get that a little bit. You know, for example, I think Guild Wars 3 existing is going to put people off Guild Wars 2 because it's like, why would you? Because this is what Doroya said. Like, Doroya said that the only thing that would make him lose interest in Guild Wars 2 was Guild Wars 3. Because you're no longer playing, like, the freshest thing, like the, you know, the newest thing. So there is a little bit of that going on, I think. But, yeah.
Yeah, I think you should be concerned about how population can affect group play. Yes, but 30,000 people is a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say something that people won't like, but I don't think that it's. I think in some cases, because I think PvP suffers from population, but I think in some cases it's actually less about population and more about systems to find players to play with.
Yeah.
And that's why it suffers. And then those things are those compound each other. So if there are fewer players and the systems to find people to play with are poor, it makes it even harder. Like, yeah, harder to find people for raids, strikes, metas, etc.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm in the same room.
Yeah, yeah, he's actually here. Wait, you guys think it's like some kind of weird, like, green screen technology, guys? No, look, look.
Ouch.
See, give him a prod. He's actually here. We are in the same room, guys. He's here in the UK. Look, we're literally going for a run tomorrow, guys. We are running 5 kilometers. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be pretty brutal, to be honest.
Who is taller? Why are you guys so obsessed with that? We're actually very similar.
I think we're very
height.
similar height. Yeah, we're about the same height.
Yeah. My wife was quite surprised. She was like, "Man, Teapot," because I told her. She's like, "How tall is Teapot?" I'm like, "It's like roughly my height, maybe a bit taller." And she was like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, everyone seems short on stream, but yeah, no, I'm like 6'1", 6'2", like around there."
Yeah. And yeah, we're like very similar in terms of height, I think. He's on a slightly higher chair right now.
Yeah.
And he's got a hat on as well.
Yes.
I don't have a hat. But yeah, we're basically the same height.
Oh, I was walking in London. I was wearing. Okay, so I'm wearing a Toronto Blue Jays hat. Shout out to Mike. We got this when we were at the Blue Jays game in Toronto. But anyway, I was wearing this hat, and I'm wearing it partially because he has a maple leaf on it, right? I didn't want people to think I was American. There's reasons. No offense, guys.
What?
But
Okay.
but I was walking around in London, and some guy just screams, "Blue Jays! Blue Jays!" at me. And I was like, is he talking to me? But there's so many people around, I just like kept walking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I'm allowed to say that because my wife's American.
Yes. Well,
And even she pretends that she's Canadian here. So it's fine.
I wouldn't want people to think I'm American either. Dude, Roy he's mentally boomed.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Even if they don't confirm Xbox 7 in July, unless they have a Hall of Monument system, there's no way it's the last one. I mean, they might skip Hall of Monuments, but I mean, I don't disagree. But the thing is, do you not think if they don't announce another X-Pack, that is like a huge question mark? That's like a huge deal if they don't do that. Why would they? Because why would they not do that? Why? What would be the reason for not announcing another expansion? And kind of on the point that Unique Control's making here about MMOs being momentum-based, I definitely agree with that as well. And that's a problem that Guild Wars 2 has. Guild Wars 2 has, like, negative momentum right now, to be honest. It's actually why, it's why New World sucks, by the way. New World is actually, unironically, not a bad game. I logged into it a little bit, and you know what? I genuinely had fun. I did a bit of PvP. It was actually kind of fun. I did the dungeons. They're actually really, really cool. But do you know why New World sucks? Because nobody gives a shit. nobody cares. Because the studio has let them down a bunch of times. People aren't really feeling hopeful or engaged or hyped up for the future. And even though the game is fine, the population is actually okay. I didn't have any issues getting into PvE dungeons whatsoever. I think I did try to queue PvP. It was a little slow. But that's because I was playing at weird hours, to be fair. So, you know, like that does happen. And they also have a weird system with like level bracketing. But the reason why that game sucks and why it's boring and why nobody cares is because nobody cares. The game has no momentum. Even though the game itself is actually pretty good. It is fun to play. And it has some really cool things about it. But it doesn't matter. One of the most important things in an online game, like online multiplayer game, is you need people to care about it. You need people to be engaged and to be invested in the future of the game. It's one of the reasons why I struggle a little bit with Guild Wars 2 is because I just don't think many people are very invested in this game, right? Like, people play this as like their side game. They have it on their, you know, third monitor while they're, you know, watching a streamer and watching a movie at the same time, right? Like, they play Guild Wars 2 in their downtime when they're done with like their main MMO, you know? Like, there isn't that level of investment, and I think it actually makes the game much less interesting to a player like me. It doesn't, that might not matter to everyone. I think that's obviously, you know, it's different people, right? I think I am more susceptible to kind of wanting to have that level of engagement, that social side of it, that meta element that comes with like an online game. Not everyone cares about that, but for me, yeah, for sure. If a game doesn't have momentum, I find it very boring, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, here's something to think about too, and I'll preface this with influencers, content creators, streamers, etc. are not necessarily the greatest pulse for if a game is alive or not. However, they do tell you something. Look at how OnlyFans completely
revitalized.
Like,
It made
yeah,
hardcore
it
a thing. Without it, hardcore would have
yeah.
been totally different, right?
Like,
It would have been completely different.
I logged into WoW,
Yeah.
right?
The
because OnlyFans made me feel like it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, here's another thing. And this is interesting. Grubby was such a big part of OnlyFans. Grubby's viewer base doubled.
Yeah.
And then he brought all of them to Warcraft 3. Enough that Blizzard gave them like big, I think it was like $10,000-$20,000 to do a tournament. And then Blizzard also put Warcraft 3 on sale right after. I wonder why they did that. Think about how many copies of that game they sold, right? And how many people are still playing because of that, or still playing at least sometimes because of that. When I look at Guild Wars 2, one of the big things I look at is, are people talking about the game? Are people making videos about the game? What kind of videos are they making about the game? What is the general sentiment about the game on social media? What are they talking about? How are they talking about it? What do they care about? Are people excited about it? Are they making fan art about it? Like, what are they doing? And this is just my perception. So this is just what I see. The game has changed dramatically in like content creation engagement since EOD.
Yeah.
Dramatically. A dramatic shift. I feel like there were way more people streaming way more. I think a lot of people, and you could argue there are maybe other reasons for this or whatever, but people are streaming less. There are fewer people streaming the game. I would argue people are making fewer videos about the game. Some of the bigger content creators who used to play the game more often are playing it less. And I think that's really interesting. Again, that isn't the end-all be-all. But I would argue that that's one of the, like, New World had such an interesting strategy. They paid everyone to play the game. And and the problem with paying everyone to play the game is, well, it didn't last very long because they got paid to play the game and then they stopped playing the game, right? It just wasn't very natural.
It can work if people actually like the game.
Yeah, but they didn't really like the game.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So I guess what I'm saying is, it turns out that right now, I think people are probably playing Guild Wars 2 a bit less and not streaming it as much and not talking about it as much because they're not super happy with how things are going, or maybe they're just like, it's not that they're like angry or anything, but they're just like, I just don't have anything to talk about right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna just like make up conversation. So they just take a step back to play some other games. There's no malice or hard feelings or anything. But the reality is that if you want content creation scene to be alive, which will maybe is one strategy for getting other people into the game, then you have to sort of like make content for people to engage with, right? There has to be like a bit more to it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that in particular, Soto and Gen 3 Wilds have been very poor for content creation. At least like, but sort of like ongoing content creation. Like it's good for people to like play through the story. And guess what happens? Every single time they bring out the expansion or they bring out a patch, a whole bunch of people play for like 2 days and then they log out and go play something else.
Yeah. It's because there just isn't really enough fuel for that type of thing, and also it's weird to say this, but it is true. I think the game just doesn't change very much, right? Like there's no shake-up. The Guild Wars 2, I think, is very stale. It's been stale for a very long time. It doesn't change in the same way that other MMOs do, I feel like. Something like this happening in OSRS, they're adding a new skill, right? Sailing. Yeah. That's a huge deal. Like, there's going to be so much content creation around, like how to level it up quickly, like talking about the design and so on.
It's contentious. Right? That's the beautiful part about sailing. Yeah. It's actually somewhat contentious.
Some people aren't for it, right? They don't want a new skill, yeah.
But I'm going to make an argument that people also might disagree with, but I don't really care. I actually think that's good, right?
Well, it's content. It's definitely content, right?
Announcing sailing was content. Think about that.
Yeah.
Like, just talking about sailing is enough content to it's been going on for over a year. People are still messaging the community manager on Twitter and flaming, right? Like they're so passionate. There's always a conversation. And I would challenge you, like right now, what is the conversation about Guild Wars 2?
I'd say there is none.
I'd say the only conversation right now is that people are dooming about the patch, which isn't necessarily productive, or they're thinking about what's next.
Yeah, pretty much. It's not a good conversation. It's not one that's fun to participate in. I'll tell you a little secret, guys, and I've been pretty open about this especially the last couple of streams, actually. But one of the really big reasons why I kind of want to move away from Guild Wars 2 and why I don't do stuff like TeaTime anymore, this is like a rare return of scuffed two-person TeaTime, is because the conversation is horrible around this game. It is so toxic. It is so miserable to be a part of the conversation. I don't want any part of that in my life, man. Like, I don't want to be a part of this conversation. It's just not good. And I think that's a big reason why a lot of creators aren't doing stuff in Guild Wars 2, because it's just not a fun conversation to be around. And after that, all you can really do is stuff that I think isn't really that exciting to a lot of creators. You can basically do like guide content, right? And like guide content is good for, you definitely get good engagement on it. Like, look, guys, if I ever start making guide content, you know that I'm looking for some ad revenue. But at the end of the day, I don't think everyone finds that particularly creatively fulfilling. I know I don't, right? Like, I don't really. I like to do things that are more about like conversation style, like TeaTime and discussing the game or tournaments and stuff like that, and it's like very hard to do that in the current climate of the game, for sure.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like the only guides for Guild Wars 2 that I would watch is for like a jumping puzzle or something, maybe. But everything else, it just feels kind of weird.
Yeah.
And I've struggled with this for years, because people will ask me if I'm like super good friends with a bunch of people that make guides and stuff, and I'm like, I don't really know them because I don't engage with their content. Not in like a mean way. I don't watch all those guides. And I'm curious as to who is, right? But I think if you play Guild Wars 2 pretty casually, then you're probably watching a lot of those guides just because you're not naturally picking up like how to do things from other people in the game.
Yeah. I think let's piss off.
Yeah.
I think it's time.
It's time.
Gamers.
It's back in like 9 hours.
We are done. I'm going to raid Lara. She's playing Mario Kart? What the hell is that?
I got the new Switch.
New Switch. Switch 2. Very exciting. We'll be back tomorrow in 9 hours, give or take-ish. Something like that. I don't know. When we wake up, okay? We'll be in when we wake up. We're going to run 5K. We might stream eating as well. It could be a food stream. There's definitely some possibility for that.
Maybe I'll eat the beans.
Yeah. I mean, you guys might get to witness Sneb trying beans. for the
I
first time
eaten
ever.
beans.
Yeah, he's gonna be feasting on those beans, like slobbering, hawking them down. It's gonna be good.
Stream everything?
Yeah.
I don't know about everything.
Yeah.
There
but
is the
yeah.
secret meeting where we try to investigate the Guild Wars 2 community further, but
Yeah, we'll see what's going on. We're raiding Lara. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. This was definitely some pretty big content. Shout out to Sneb for coming to the UK. By the way, the only reason he came to the UK was for the stream, by the way, guys.
Yeah,
it's
that's
the only reason he's here.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll probably stream the run and then maybe stream in the evening as well. If we do something, we might try and cook something up. We might try and cook something up a little bit, get a tea time going. Should we just look, people need to see us stand next to each other. We have to do
gosh.
You're not really gonna see us super well, I guess, but here we go.
Back up, but
We have to like back up a little bit while the raid is going through. Move the chairs out of the way. Yeah, just people want to see the standing comparison. I'll just move it over here. People want to see the standing comparison. Here you go, guys.
You can't see. We're like right at the same height.
Like, yeah, we can look into each other's eyes, guys. Okay, but yeah, this is the situation. We are now done. Both of our heads are cut off by that. But anyway, that's it, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, follow, subscribe. Gifted subs are discounted. Okay. See you next time. Okay, that's it. I can't touch the keyboard. We have to wait until the raid kind of wears off, I guess. So yeah. That's it. I'm turning the stream off. We're out of here. GG.